Thank you, friends. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, friends. Hello. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hey, Lisa. How are you? Hey, Doug. Hey, Sweet Agony. Hey, Baby Walk. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, my days. How the heck we doing? How the heck we doing? Hey, my clothes brush. What up, folks? Howdy do. Howdy. Good morning, Vietnam. Twitch. How's everybody going today? Hey, Dope Stick. Well. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What the hell did I do? What did I do? Dope Stick. What the hell did I do? Looky what we have here. All right, folks. So today we're going to talk about Hasan Piker. Because I don't talk about that dude a lot. I just don't talk about that dude. You know? I don't talk about Pikes.
Joining us on his
I don't talk about Pikes.
and more.
Pikes much. Mr. Piker. I don't talk about him at all, to be honest. Just bits and pieces here and there. I hear about Hasan Piker these days more than I hear about the genocide in Gaza, which is concerning. But I hear about him a lot. Hey, Truth Sensei, welcome. So, look, here's the deal. What the fuck are the Democrats doing? They're attacking Hasan Piker more than they're concerned about genocide. It's insane. Honestly, America, what is going on with you? What is going on with you, America? America. What do you think about him doing an interview with Hartz? Hartz is all good. I think Hartz is fine. Hartz is actually banned from by the government of Israel. Hartz got banned by the government of Israel because it was too edgy. Which is weird. You know, for the weird shit, all the horrific shit that Israel does, its media is actually pretty straight up and honest. Its media, like Israel's media, even Times of Israel and sometimes Jerusalem Post, for example, they actually report stuff pretty straight up and honestly. And if even like a 10th or even 100th of what Israeli media reports was reported in mainstream media, it would cause fervor. Hey, Shiny. Kia ora, Shiny. I don't know why Israeli media seems to be more honest than just normal mainstream media. Because Israeli media has reported about things like, what do you call it? The Hannibal Directive and Netanyahu's funding of Hamas through Qatar. But none of that stuff has been reported through mainstream media. Hey, Brub, welcome. So I'm like, I don't honestly like. I have no opinion about him interviewing with Haaretz. Haaretz is fine. It's still, of course, Western media. I would still consider it part of the Western media ecosystem. None of these people are particularly. The Israeli audience is qualitatively different to Western media. The things that would shock audiences outside of Israel are widely accepted viewpoints there. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. But also, like, just even, 100th of what's covered in Israeli media, if it's covered in mainstream media, mainstream Western media, it would cause so much education. Yeah. Look, I'm not particularly mad about him interviewing with Haaretz and stuff. I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't know. But I want to cover something that's happened. Okay, Hakeem Jeffries. What a terrible human being Hakeem is. Hakeem Jeffries, folks, is the wolf in sheep's clothing. He is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Man, this guy is so pro-Israel. This guy is so pro-Israel. And the Democrats are fucking just going after him, eh? The Democrats are like going after him. They hate Hasan Piker. Oh my gosh. I don't even know if he's in sheep's clothing at the moment. At this point, maybe a wool hat. Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? Like how these people have just jumped on the Hasan, the scrutiny of Hasan, and just calling Hasan an anti-Semite. And then Hakeem Jeffries meets Jared Kushner. Just meets Jared Kushner. Apparently to talk about the cost of living crisis, which, I mean, come on. Do you agree with that? That's bullshit. I don't believe this fucking dude. I don't believe this guy for 1 second, okay? Hakeem Jeffries. Hey, 9-inch toenails. Hakeem Jeffries ain't a particularly good person. I just feel he is part of the establishment in such a rotten way. It's bad. Hakeem Jeffries is bad. Okay, let's get into some content. Here's the interview I'm talking about. Okay, Wolf Blitzer and Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries posted this on his YouTube channel, by the way, and I can comment. Only if you had this much smoke. Actually, let's watch the video and then I'll comment because he might end up blocking me.
In an exclusive interview is the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, thank you so much for joining us. Can you explain what was the specific objective?
Yes, Zoran Mamdani endorsed Hakeem Jeffries, yes.
Of this meeting you had with Jared Kushner in New York?
Well, good morning, Wolf. Great to be with you. And as we've repeatedly indicated as House Democrats from the beginning of this Congress, we're committed to pushing back against the extremism that has been unleashed on the American people every day, every week, every month, year after year, until we can end this national nightmare. At the same period of time, of course, we have a responsibility to solve problems. And sometimes that means meeting with people on the other side of the aisle to figure out what the opportunities will be in order to address the things that the American people definitively want us to address, which from our standpoint is the reality that the cost of living in this country is way too high. Far too many people are working hard, they're playing by the rules, they can't thrive, and they can barely survive. That's not an acceptable situation. and we've got to address that affordability crisis, which is not a hoax, it's very real. I hear about it every day here in Brooklyn and across the country, and we're determined to do something.
Oh, Apex Shakur. That's his name now, isn't it? That's his, like, Apex Shakur. Hakeem Jeffries, Apex Shakur.
Something about it.
So did you accomplish anything specific during this meeting with Kushner?
No, it was just a high-level, topical conversation, particularly focused on affordability, as well as the housing bill that was recently passed and enacted into law as a foundation for the type of thing that perhaps can be built upon moving forward. By the way, that housing affordability bill that ultimately became law, notwithstanding the president's refusal to sign it, was driven by the strong leadership of Maxine Waters on the House side and Senator Elizabeth Warren on the Senate side of the Capitol, because Democrats are committed to getting things done whenever and wherever possible. At the same period of time, as I've mentioned, nobody's getting the pass because we're determined to make sure, beginning on day one, that we hold every single member of the Trump cartel accountable, beginning on day one.
When beginning on day one, you mean if the Democrats become the majority in the House of Representatives and you potentially could be the Speaker. Is that what you're suggesting? On day one of that event, you will begin to hold everyone in the Trump.
Sorry, but why is Jared Kushner the center of everything? They're all friends. They're all friends. Jared Kushner is... Trump probably said, hey, can you go have a chat with Hakeem Jeffries? And apparently what happened was a mutual friend of Hakeem Jeffries and Jared Kushner introduced them, said that they should use that dude's venue to have a meeting. So it was a mutual friend of Hakeem Jeffries. Who, Donald? No. No.
Cartel,
hey, no
your
fixed
words,
address.
accountable?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that if folks have been shortchanging the American people, screwing over the American people, or stealing from the American people, yes, our
Matt, 5-stream streak. Put your clothes back on, please.
commitment very publicly is that we're going to hold the crooks accountable. We're going to follow the facts, we're going to apply the law, and we're going to be guided by the Constitution. Now, that work is going to be led by Jamie Raskin and House Committee Democrats on the Judiciary Committee, as well as Robert Garcia, who's also doing a tremendous job, and Democrats on the Oversight Committee. But let's be clear about something. Our commitment to the American people has been, we're going to fight to make life more affordable. We recognize that the cost of living is out of control, and we need to lower the cost of groceries, lower the cost of gas, lower the cost of housing. We're also going to fight to make health care
Darth Hefe, welcome.
affordable
Thank you for the follow.
every single American, because we recognize that in this great country, access to high-quality, affordable health care can't simply be a privilege.
Didn't Hakeem Jeffries say that he didn't want universal health care? Like he wasn't going to vote for anything to do with universal health care? Like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Available only to the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. It's got to be a right available to everyone. That's a principle that unites Democrats all across the ideological spectrum.
Do you have any plans, at least right now, to start meeting with the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, or even President Trump himself before the midterm elections in November?
Well, that depends on what legislative business may be in front of us as it relates to the things that need to be done for the American people prior to the midterms. I haven't frequently engaged with Susie Wiles, though we'll see what happens as we move forward in that regard. And of course, Leader Schumer and myself had one high-profile meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office in advance of the 43-day government shutdown, which, by the way, occurred because Democrats have made clear we're not going to support partisan Republican spending bills in that instance that gutted the health care of the American people. And we're going to continue to battle them on tariffs as we've done, battle them on Medicaid, battle them on the Affordable Care Act, battle them on Epstein, battle them on ICE funding, battle them on the reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East, and of course, battle them on the unprecedented corruption that has been unleashed on everyday Americans. But as I travel the country, Wolf, I also know that the American people want us in Washington to solve problems. And I'm not simply here to make a point, but I'm also here to make a difference. And we have a commitment to the American people to make a difference in their lives so that they can live an affordable life, a comfortable life, and live a good life.
What the fuck is he talking about, man?
Which we know what that should look like. It's a good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and when it's all said and done, a good retirement.
I know you've argued that Democrats can indeed address the issue of affordability, that crisis that's unfolding, and take on President Trump's tariffs while simultaneously conducting oversight of this Trump administration. Let's watch what you said in a video posted on social media just yesterday. Listen to this.
No one is going to get a pass. We're going to hold every...
Look at this guy. He's trying to relate. He's trying to relate. He's wearing his clothes like he's trying to relate to the younger demographic. What a douchebag.
single member of the Trump cartel accountable, beginning on day one.
Who is the worst, Jeffries or Fetterman? I think they're exactly the same. I think they are exactly the same. The reason why, I would say, in terms of just the what both of them are doing is the same. What both of them are doing is exactly the same. Fetterman's brain is pickled, in all fairness to him. Whatever it is, right? Like, I don't want to bring his mental health into this. The message Fetterman is sending is more direct, but it's the same message that Hakeem Jeffries is peddling.
So what exactly does it mean, and what do you suggest it means when you use the phrase Trump cartel?
Well, listen, Donald Trump has conducted himself like an organized crime boss. These people have unleashed unprecedented corruption on the American people. And here's our problem with that if you got people in high office that are so focused on enriching themselves, their family members, their friends, and their donors, then they're not focused on actually making life better for the American people. And so our commitment to combating corruption and to holding the crooks accountable beginning on day one is a commitment actually to make sure that we've got people in government focused on doing the things necessary to address the affordability crisis, to make sure that health care is affordable for every single American, to fix our broken immigration system, to restore the damage that's been done to voting rights in the United States of America, including by passing the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and of course, to ending this reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East, which, by the way, has skyrocketed gas prices on everyday Americans, while at the same time putting Iran in a stronger position. So there's a lot of challenges that we'll continue to confront.
Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries is exactly the type of person who is stopping progress. He is a liberal, and he will always enable fascism before he sides with the real left, because his worldview and the fascist worldview actually have more crossover than his worldview and the left. Because ultimately, libs and fascists protect capital. So when shit hits the fan, libs will distance themselves from the left, and they will enable fascism, because they know that at least fascists will protect capital. And yeah, this guy is a terrible human being. Like I despise him because he knows what he's enabling. He knows what he's manufacturing consent for genocide, and he's playing the anti-Semitism card, in order to distract people from that genocide. And it's horrible. It's horrible. This guy, people like Hakeem Jeffries are the reason why things like the transatlantic slave trade actually succeeded. Because there were collaborators like him who worked with the Europeans in order to enable the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. The people like him in India, brown people like him in India, worked with the British to enable what the British did to India. They're collaborators. They have chosen their own success. They have chosen to concentrate power around them in order to throw progress, in order to bring on fascism. It's horrible. What Hakeem Jeffries does, horrible stuff. This is why I have issues with all moderate centrists. To me, they are part of the establishment and part of the same system. Yeah, of course.
As House Democrats,
but it's not just moderates. It's MAGA as well. It's the far right who are part of the establishment too. Because the far right are the ones being used to keep the establishment going. Moderates on both sides, yes.
through the balance of this Congress and, of course, into the next Congress.
If you become the leader...
The dangerous ones, though, Funkytron, let's be clear. The dangerous ones are the ones who are center left. Because they are promising progress, but they're voting against it. They are the fox that Malcolm X spoke about. They are the fox. And like the center right, at least the conservatives, as they call themselves, they're just racist, easy. But people like Hakeem Jeffries are the fox that Malcolm X is talking about.
The Democrats become the majority in the House. Are you open to pursuing impeachment of President Trump, or are you ruling that out?
Well, we've made clear we haven't ruled anything in, and we haven't ruled anything out. And certainly, as I've indicated, Jamie Raskin and House Judiciary Committee Democrats, I was a proud member of the House Judiciary Committee for 10 years, as well as Robert Garcia and Democrats on the Oversight Committee, are going to take the lead. And as we've done in the past, whenever there have been moments of accountability that we've had to lead on.
We haven't ruled anything in. We haven't ruled anything out. Oh, my gosh. That MLK talked about as well. Yeah. I think MLK, to a degree, in Malcolm X's mind anyway, in Malcolm X's mind, MLK became a little bit of a lib as well. Yeah, it's all word salads, eh? They are there way too long and overstay their welcome. Yeah, this Hakeem Jeffries guy is really bad. Like, I think he is going to be there for a long time, and he is going to be really, really bad for progress.
We are guided by three principles: follow the facts, apply the law, and be guided by the United States Constitution.
On another important issue, Leader Jeffries, you issued a statement yesterday slamming what you called the malicious claim that American Jews are inviting violence against themselves as, quote, dangerous and anti-Semitic. Was that in...
How about Jeffries versus Booker? They're the same. Cory Booker is fucking terrible. Like, 25 hours he stood and spoke about some shit during the genocide and didn't mention the genocide once. And it was completely ineffective anyway. These people are These people are collaborators, man. Like they're collaborators of the system. You know what they're like. I'll show you exactly who they are. I'll show you exactly who they are. This is who they are.
Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black proponents of Cop City in Atlanta's leadership class. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black woman's hand, ambassador at the UN, voting against a ceasefire in Gaza. That is, our blackness and our womanness are not in themselves trustworthy. If we allow ourselves to be conscripted into positions of power that maintain the oppressive status quo, our blackness and womanness are not themselves trustworthy if we support the occupation of black neighborhoods with so-called better trained police, or remain silent about the genocide of oppressed peoples around the world funded by our tax dollars.
That's all you need to hear. The lady on the television said it all for you. The lady on the television said it all for you, folks. She said it all there. Those are the people who Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries are. Fucking terrible.
Reference to far-left influencer Hasan Piker and his recent very controversial comments?
Yes, those comments were dangerous, malicious, and anti-Semitic, and should not be tolerated by anyone in the public square. What we've seen is a startling rise of hate crimes all across the United States of America, but particularly in this moment directed against our Jewish brothers and sisters. And everybody, regardless of ideological perspective, should be willing to denounce this rise of
This motherfucker hasn't denounced the genocide once. Hasn't denounced genocide once. What a pathetic excuse for a human being.
anti-Semitic rhetoric, hate crimes, and bigotry, and actually try to move us to a society where we embrace everyone, even where there are differences on issues, be they foreign or domestic. The notion that people should be targeted because of their religious beliefs or ethnicity or race, whatever the case may be, that's fundamentally inconsistent with who we are in this country.
Yes, indeed. Hasan Piker's clout among Democrats, though, particularly some younger Democratic voters, seems to be growing. We saw, for example, his prominence in the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. So why not call him out by name in your statement if you feel so passionately about this issue?
I've just addressed Hasan Piker's comments as it relates to the Jewish community as forcefully as I can, and I will continue to do that.
Yo, Zekchev.
Yes, but in your original statement, he was not addressed by name. That's why I was raising
Yeah, for sure, Zekchev. Go ahead.
the question. Leader Jeffries, you want to give me a final thought before I let you go? And we're grateful to you for joining us.
Well, there are 70 days until the midterm elections, and we're either going to move the country forward or we're going to turn back the clock. And Donald Trump's administration has been a disaster for the American people. That is clear. And we have an opportunity to take back control of the House and the United States Senate so we can begin the process of ending this national nightmare. And look, our commitment as Democrats is going to be to fight every day, every week, every month to actually address the problems that matter here in this country, while pushing back against the extremism that has been unleashed on the American people. That's unprecedented in nature and needs to end.
police officers. So in my book, I really focus on Atlanta, which is actually where I'm from, and one of the parts of the U.S. that has, long had a substantial Black population and a Black middle class and Black leadership. And in Atlanta, the call was, and they would march for this with signs that said 100,000 Negroes deserve one Negro police. And Martin Luther King Sr., the father of the great civil rights leader Martin Luther King, he spoke in favor of the civil rights demand of having one Black officer. We need to have a Black officer in this community. That was the claim that they were making. One of the things that people tend to not understand, but's really important, is that from the beginning, there have been differences of opinion about what difference Black officers would make. So some people wanted Black officers because they actually thought that they would be more vigorous in addressing crime in Black communities. It's hard to think about now, but 100 years ago, one of the claims was that crime in Black communities was ignored by the white power structure because they didn't care what went on in those Black communities. Other people thought that Black officers would be less brutal towards Black suspects, right? That's kind of what we think of today, maybe as the most common rationale. Other people thought, and there was a class element to this, but there were members of the Black middle class in Atlanta in particular that wanted Black police officers because they thought that Black officers would be able to distinguish between elements of the Black community. For white officers, all Black people look the same. But a Black officer would be able to tell the difference between a pastor or a teacher or a doctor who deserve respect and maybe somebody who is out there breaking the law. And then the final argument for Black officers was just that these are jobs and people need a chance to have a good job, right? Whether they'll make a difference in the job or not, it's a job. And people should have a chance to have that job in the same way that they deserve a chance to have a job as a steel worker or a firefighter, right?
All I'm going to say, Funkytron, is I would avoid having heroes. I would avoid looking up to people in general because they always let us down. As the working class, I don't think we should do that. I don't think our goal should ever be to, even us personally, I don't think our goal should ever be to become some sort of sycophantic personality. We should always be, in my honest opinion, shutting down sycophantic conversations like that as much as possible. I don't think lionizing people and holding them to some fucking standard of like, you should always scrutinize people, including me. Like I'm not leaving myself out of this conversation. Of course not. I've just been questioning all my heroes, every single one of them.
Don't demand that Black people, we don't say, well, you have to be better at fighting fires, that's a rationale for having the right to have that job. It's just the right to have a job that everyone else could have. So what I would say now, as we sit here, 100 years after those first struggles, is we are really living with the legacy of never being clear or never being unanimous about what difference Black officers were supposed to make. So then people are always surprised when we see stories and it looks like the Black officers didn't make any difference. They did the same thing that a white officer might have done in that situation. And people say, well, how could that be?
Yeah, actions over personalities. And we should treat our we should treat the government the same way. Policies over egos, That's why I always say, why don't we vote for policies rather than people? I think we need to start giving a fuck about policy a lot more. Hey, Roshan, welcome. It has to be actions.
And must I remind you that in his book, Foreman goes into a lot more detail, especially about the history of black policemen, how they were discriminated against within their own police department.
Zach Chap, I'll say this: the white perspective on blackness, on anti-blackness, and just racism in particular has always been a little bit weird to me. That's just maybe me. When white people talk about racism, especially to like a black audience or a brown audience, I just feel very uncomfortable. Because it feels like a lecture, and I don't know. Maybe it's just something I've become used to. What I would hope is that people like this guy are helping educate like white people. I hope people like this guy are helping. The demographic this guy is reaching is white people. Because that's what is needed is white on white education. Candace, hello, Mike. Hello. How are you? Thanks for sharing those, Zach. Yeah, I agree. I think we should also never ever like celebrate police. Just because police is DEI doesn't mean the police. The problem with policing is the system. It's the intent of the police. The police are there to protect capital. They're not there to protect the citizens or the working class. They're there to protect capital, and that's how policing has been modeled for a very long time. It's extremely white supremacist in nature. So it's like Hakeem Jeffries, for example, like Hakeem Jeffries being part of the U.S. government doesn't make the U.S. government more diverse. It just means that now there is a black face speaking up for American imperialism, right? Black people can, of course, black and brown people can, of course, amplify white supremacy too, which is what Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker and shit do. It's one of those things where like this sort of collaboration happens a lot. And this is what Ruha Benjamin was speaking up against, was when she said black faces in high places aren't going to save us. She also was like, she may not have been talking about brown people, but it applies to brown people also. Absolutely does. The Fox News segment on Hasan was batshit crazy. They're all batshit crazy. Hasan, look at this asshole. Look at this asshole. Cory Booker. Hasan Piker's dangerous and hateful language targeting Jewish Americans has no place in our civic discourse, suggesting that Jewish Americans bear responsibility for hatred or violence directed against them is wrong, dangerous, and anti-Semitic. Again, he's not saying Jewish people's actions are causing the hatred. He's saying the state of Israel's actions and the state of Israel's conflation of Judaism with Zionism is causing the hatred, unnecessary hatred and backlash on the Jewish community. That's what Hasan is saying. They took that out of context, and what Cory Booker is doing here again is conflating Judaism with Zionism, which is highly anti-Semitic, and they do it because it feeds into that rhetoric of manufacturing consent for genocide. These people are horribly violent, and like people like Cory Booker are horribly fucking violent and just racist. It's fucking bad, man. It's so bad. These people are such collaborators. It's fucking insane. We can and should argue fiercely over policy. We should have meaningful dialogue and debate about the policies and actions of the Israeli government and American foreign policy. That is the lifeblood of democracy, but that's not what this is. No American should be told that their political beliefs make them responsible for hatred or violence directed against them. There is a bright line between vigorous debate and rhetoric that stokes hatreds towards our neighbors. Mr. Piker has crossed that line repeatedly and unmistakably. Bullshit.
Community, you have
This is what he
anti-Zionist
said.
Jews in my community. You have a very tough job ahead of you. Well, you have to go back to your communities, try to get your elderly relatives to understand this connection between Israel and Zionism that is expressed over and over again through a lot of these Jewish institutions is teaching people the idea that Jews are monolithic. And this is a dangerous mode of propaganda because people don't fuck with Israel any longer. And if Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews. We're teaching people the wrong lesson.
Fuller context, it's pretty clear that he's making a very standard point. Mike Rogers, Neera Tanda, and a bunch of others, began circulating a more deceptively mashed together, multiple different clips, pulled together to make it kind of a much harsher, like where he's justifying the thing.
And so honestly, I would say that the entire purpose of my campaign is to make sure America continues to support Israel. I don't think it's wrong for Jews in America to want to put Israel first. America is not our homeland. We have been victims of anti-Semitism here.
Okay, who is this Jeremy Moss dude? He seems like a douchebag. He seems like a pro-genocide guy. And already you can tell that's gonna be fucking terrible. Do you guys know who Jeremy Moss is? I don't know who he is. Okay, this is I have no idea who that guy is. This is another clip that, well, it's from the same interview, but it's clipped. It's about Jeffrey's talking about the meeting with Jared Kushner, and it's so funny. They actually, what he's saying is they achieved nothing.
What was the specific objective of this meeting you had with Jared Kushner in New York?
As we've repeatedly indicated as House Democrats from the beginning of this Congress, we're committed to pushing back against the extremism that has been unleashed on the American people every day, every week, every month, year after year, until we can end this national nightmare. At the same period of time, of course, we have a responsibility to solve problems. And sometimes that means meeting with people on the other side of the aisle to figure out what the opportunities will be in order to address the things that the American people definitively want us to address. The reality that the cost of living in this country is way too high, and we've got to address that affordability crisis, which is not a hoax.
So did you accomplish anything specific during this meeting with Kushner?
No, it was just a high-level, topical conversation, particularly focused.
Did you achieve anything? No, not really. We just shot the shit.
I'm not seeking an endorsement. I'm not.
Let's watch so this is obviously with a lot of these pundits, jumping on news like this. Fox News has also jumped on Hasan Piker's dick. Let's check it out.
Not seeking endorsement. I do not accept nor I do reject. Come on. We know what's going on here. If the communists win, they're going to pick him over Schumer. That's what this is. So he's kind of flirting
Look at those hands,
with these guys, but he doesn't want to be seen doing the walk of shame. I've been doing a lot of Bible study with Harold and Greg, and I think I'm pretty certain that this Piker guy not getting into heaven. I would not be giving the middle finger to the gods, saying things like this. It's called karma, and we've seen guys like this before, and bad things happen to guys like this. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not predicting it. I don't know anything that could happen, but
they really want to do something violent to him, eh? They really want to do something violent to him. They hate him.
Bad energy. I'll leave it at that.
Ray, what do you think about the contrast of the weekend?
Well, you know, I'm conflicted talking about Hasan Piker. It's like autoerotic asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
Thank you. I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. But news outlets will avoid describing it in order to reduce the contagion effect. They don't want other people doing it. And I don't really want other people imitating Piker. He is the human version of autoerotic asphyxiation. If you try to do that, you will not have the wealth and the family that he has to save yourself when you get fired from your job for doing stupid things. You know, Kirk openly debated him, and the interaction was professional and cordial, and it wasn't until Kirk was murdered that he does the Macarena on his gravestone. And this is kind of the asymmetry that we talk about all the time.
What the fuck, bro? These people are so bad. They can't reflect. Don't make fun of a fucking racist who openly spoke about guns being okay and accepting gun violence, you know? And Hasan's not making fun of the guy's death. Hasan was making fun of the song, which is just insane.
That, you know, we get...
Also, let's not forget that these guys have made and continue to make fun of George Floyd. Like the guy we saw on live TV getting choked out by a police officer.
Dragged into these both sides arguments.
Murdered.
And we're like, can't you see? It's not both sides. You know, we're civil and you ridicule his death. These juxtapositions are there all the time. But yet the moment you bring it up, someone will say, yeah, well, you guys on the other side, did you know that Donald Trump called Rosie O'Donnell a pig? And it's like, shut up. You're right about the India event. As American as it is Trumpian, it's fun, patriotic, inventive, and it requires people who know how to do stuff to pull it off. Mm-hmm. That's a contrast to socialism, where achievement is a negative. You know, you don't see innovation or fun or recreation from a socialist.
Be sure to like and
What? What do these people consider fun? They literally just said Hasan would deserve it if something happened to him, then pearl clutch over Kirk. Yeah, exactly. Hasan has become enemy number one, man. It's so sad to see. It's so sad to see that these fucking people would do this. Look at this. CBS Morning covering Hasan.
Now to a growing issue for some Democratic Party candidates in November.
Noisy, have you seen the latest theory regarding Charlie Kirk? Possible drones used to unalive him. It's quite compelling. All I saw was a dude's neck explode in real time, and I don't want to see it anymore.
Some candidates are denouncing recent words by the progressive activist Hasan Piker. The popular streamer has repeatedly criticized Israel for its war on Gaza. His rhetoric has become an issue for the Democratic Senate candidate in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed, who is now trying to back away from Piker. Ed O'Keefe is covering the midterm elections for us. Ed, good morning.
Glad, good to see you. Hasan Piker may not be a name that many of our viewers know, but his influence has only increased in recent months as he's been campaigning with progressive or socialist candidates across the country. But he rocked the boat in recent days by making comments that both Democrats and Republicans call anti-Semitic. And El-Sayed has also denounced the comments, saying he stands with the Jewish community.
People don't with Israel any longer.
Progressive influencer Hasan Piker has sent the Democratic Party into damage control after making incendiary comments during a live stream on Twitch last Thursday, arguing the idea that Jews are monolithic is, quote, a very dangerous mode of propaganda.
If Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews.
Republicans quickly pointed to Piker's ties to Abdul El-Sayed, the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Michigan. El-Sayed had embraced the left-wing podcaster during his primary campaign in hopes of winning over Piker's more than 8 million social media followers.
But when he says things like he didn't have an issue with Hezbollah, that resonates more in this state than in many others.
Yeah, well, look, those are things that he and I are going to disagree on. But again, the idea that somehow I'm going to hold myself accountable to the worst thing he said and then not reach out to his audience. No.
But El-Sayed has repeatedly denounced anti-Semitism and said again in a statement Monday, his, quote, commitment to Jewish safety is the same as my commitment to the safety of my own daughters. Other Democrats were more direct. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called Piker's comments dangerous and anti-Semitic. And Michigan's Democratic Congresswoman Hillary Scholten dismissed the streamer as, quote, a hack who thrives on hate. Progressives like Piker and El-Sayed are outspoken critics of Israel's handling of the war in Gaza, a divisive issue for the Democratic Party ahead of the midterms.
I think the thing that Hasan Piker kind of forces on the people who he, supports, campaigns with, he forces them, I think, to clarify what do you agree with and what do you not agree with.
Piker says the response to his comments is a, quote, Republican smear campaign. Mike Rogers, who's the Republican running against El-Sayed in Michigan.
It's not just a Republican smear campaign. When it happened and I saw the close-up of Kirk, I was like, I don't know, there's a chance he could live. Only because I feel like nothing ever really changes. Oh my gosh, Zach Champ. No, Zach Champ, you're going to get me banned of Twitch, man. Stop. Oh my gosh. Israel is the weakest bully, bombing innocent humans, but a streamer is the hateful one. Yeah, exactly. It's a MAGA smear campaign, blue and red MAGA. Yes, I agree.
Criticized the Democrats' decision to distance himself from Piker and called El-Sayed a, quote, con man. Gail?
A lot of people watching. Thank you, Ed, very much.
It's not about seeing the hit. It's how they potentially did it. Nah, man. Truth Sensei, like, what? Maybe. I don't know, honestly. Like, it seems pretty clear cut that a sniper sniped him. But I don't know. I just don't see the value in it. I just don't see the value in this. Like, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to do with these theories, Truth Sensei? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed is trying to distance himself from controversial Twitch streamer Hasan Piker ahead of the midterms, releasing this statement on X. Quote, anti-Semitism is a scourge and we need to address it in all its forms. And I stand against any rhetoric that puts the community at risk. But I want to be crystal clear. Nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokespeople. And while politicians and pundits try to make this race about a Twitch streamer, we're going to be talking about gas, groceries, good schools, and health care.
Joining us now to react is senior writer for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, I'm interested to see your thoughts on this one, but here we are again, backtracking from what we were before.
Yeah, seriously, Ashley. And look, this is so...
To find the truth, that assumes that the guy who sniped him in the neck wasn't the guy, right? Like, oh my gosh, I don't know, man. I don't know, Truth Sensei. Like, I feel like people have this propensity to go down these loopholes. Like, I'm just not going to. I'm just not going to.
What's the word we're looking for here? Cowardly on the part of Abdul El-Sayed? I mean, he is so afraid of losing those precious votes in Dearborn, Michigan from Muslim voters. I mean, this was the Diet Coke of distancing from that evil anti-Semitic maniac who is Hasan Piker. Hence why he didn't address him by name in that statement. And even if he did address Hasan Piker by name. He doesn't get a do-over here, all right? We just showed the photos. He campaigned with Hasan Piker. He was side by side with him. If I'm El Sayed's opponent, Republican Mike Rogers, I'd put Piker and El Sayed together in every ad to run every day moving forward until Election Day and remind voters what Piker has said. America deserved 9/11, calling Jews, quote, inbreds, unquote, that he has a large poster of the World Trade Center exploding when one of the planes hit on 9/11, sitting prominently right behind him over his shoulder on his podcast. And just this week, Piker warned American Jews to stop supporting Israel or someone will, quote, come around and take action, not against Israel, but American Jews, unquote. Oh, that's a call to violence. So every Democrat who has appeared on his podcast and his campaign own all of this, whether it's AOC, Zohar Memdani, El Sayed, Bernie Sanders. You were pals with this.
Nah, but this is what people have been looking for. The fall guy for the changing politics in America, you know? The fall guy for the changing politics against Israel. And they're trying to make an example of him. They're trying to make an example of Hasan because they're trying to, in some way, explain away why Israel has lost so much support around the world.
This one, you campaign with him. Guess what? You don't get to disown him now because you knew exactly what you were doing and what he has said in the past when you did it.
Let's look ahead to the future. Hypothetical for you, Joe. Let's say El Sayed wins.
Yes.
Would you expect Hasan Piker to become back into the fold there in the orbit of El Sayed?
Great question. A means to an end, right? So, yeah, if he wins and runs up the score with the type of people that listen and watch a Hasan Piker, whether that's young adults or even college students, that's where El Sayed did well in Michigan and places like Ann Arbor and East Lansing, yeah, then suddenly Piker will be the it girl again like he was last month. Instead, Democrats are attempting to sort of distance themselves from him, but again, film is temporary, pain is forever, and pain is temporary, film is forever. Yes, that's what I was going for. So, yeah, all the video is out there, and all the appearances with him won't go away.
Really quickly, and I just want your final thoughts on this. I'm sure you saw El Sayed's opponent, Mike Rogers, commenting on Hasan Piker, and also responding to the statement. He said Abdul's attempt to distance himself from this violent and hateful rhetoric now that he and Hasan won the primary is the epitome of what a con man does. I want to hone in on that word con man does. It says one thing when it serves him and another when it doesn't. His rhetoric is causing fear in Michigan communities. It's un-American and makes him unfit to represent our state. Your thoughts?
Did you see what Mike Rogers did there in his statement? He said when he, as an El Sayed and Hasan Piker, won the primary, as if they're running mates. Right. So, yeah, it's good stuff. And Mike Rogers is a very capable Republican. He nearly beat Alyssa Slotkin for the last time he ran for Senate 2 years ago, lost by something like 0.3% of the vote. So, yeah, he came very close last time. Now he has a very vulnerable opponent in a state that Donald Trump has won twice. If El Sayed wins there, then socialism is very, very much for real. Save the tape now. It ain't going to happen. Rogers wins this, and he wins quite comfortably.
Wow, there you go. Joe Concha.
Calling it.
Mark it. Joe Concha, thanks,
you.
Rogers winning it and winning it comfortably. I think Abdul El Sayed is just fucking shot himself in the foot, it feels like, with all the rhetoric around how he's trying to distance himself from Hasan Piker. Why do fucking brown faces do this, man? Brown faces will always fuck this up because they just can't. They are so thirsty for power that any shred of morality / values just fade away. They're so thirsty, hungry to fit into the system that they don't have an honest bone in their bodies. I fucking hate this, honestly. I'm just gonna use the bathroom, guys. I'm just gonna use the bathroom and get a drink of water. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Please enjoy the beautiful music. I'll be back in a second. Hi. Hi, friends.
Thank you, friends.
Bet. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Hey, Scars.
Joe. Hey everyone, I'm Emily.
Okay. Like Fox News is having a field day with this.
So, anti-Israel streamer Hasan Piker predicting more violence against those he doesn't like, making his warning clear to Jews in America.
People don't with Israel any longer, and if Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews.
It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, far-left Senate hopeful Abdul El-Sayed, who campaigned with Piker often and refused to denounce his anti-Semitism, now saying, quote, "My commitment to Jewish safety is the same as my commitment to the safety of my own daughters. Anti-Semitism is a scourge, and we need to address it in all forms. I stand against any rhetoric that puts that community at risk." Our next guest, a lifelong Democrat, worked on Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and warns his own party is turning against Jewish.
What got him saying that? Honestly, like they're taking clips. They're taking clips and they're making it sound bad. It's very out of context. The washing machine jingle had me so confused because I thought mine had somehow decided to come to my bedroom to kill. Oh my gosh. Hey Don, how are you? It's out of context. It's he was trying to say that Israel is putting the Jewish community in danger, and seeing Jewish people as a monolith is bad, i.e. conflating Judaism with Zionism is bad. The thing about Hasan that I've said before, and I'll say it again, is he over-explains things. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to over-explain things. Like, people understand that conflating Judaism and Zionism is bad, is anti-Semitic in nature. Like, there are court rulings happening around the world. In the UK recently, anti-Zionism has been enshrined in law as part of the Equality Act. In Australia, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism has been struck down in New South Wales. All of these things are happening bit by bit. Like, you don't need to explain to people again and again. You don't need to over-explain. I think just mentioning conflating Judaism with Zionism is enough. I think sometimes Hasan goes overboard with the explanation to make it like dead obvious, like this one. I don't see why. I don't see why he needed to go that far, but also the media is like clipping him out of context, like completely out of context. This is a witch hunt. And they're trying to find what the media and the Democrats and everybody, just the pro-Israel scene, is trying to find is a fall guy. They're trying to find the reason why the hate against Israel, or at least the fall off of the Israeli brand, has happened. And they want that fall guy. And they don't want to talk about the genocide. So they want to find a way to provide a solution without addressing the genocide Israel is committing. So Hasan is becoming that voice. Hasan is becoming that fall guy, that scapegoat. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy for him, I think, from now on. it is going to be a full-blown attack. He needs community support. He needs people to get around him. He needs people around him now who are very much about, keeping his mental faculties secure. It's his friends, his closest group around him need to be surrounding him with compassion and empathy and all of these things. And I hope he's getting that, honestly, because the attacks that are coming on him are just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse.
Americans. Joe Rubin joins us now. Joe, it's very clear what these comments meant, who they were directed at, but it seems like some in the party can't do the right thing and distance themselves from this movement.
Yeah, Lawrence, it's great to be with you. And we American Jews don't need an anti-Semite to tell us what anti-Semitism is. Hasan Piker is making a living off of attacking Jews. In many ways, he can't quit us. He needs us. It grows his audience. And it's this age-old use of propaganda and scapegoating and attacks against Jews that demagogues have used throughout history to try to grow their...
Yeah, see? Like, they're trying to find the fall guy. They're trying to find the reason why people are moving away from Israel or wanting to cut ties with Israel. And now they've found a potential target, and that's what Hasan is. The thing that Hasan needs to understand is, I think he understands that role. I think he knows that that's what they're trying to do. I mean, he's a smart guy. Yeah, it's... I just don't know if there are voices around him helping him with this. He is a young guy. He's what, 35? He's a young dude, man. This is a lot of attention. This is a hell of a lot of attention for a young person. Hey, Platinum Pluto, welcome. Yeah, he says he'll just tank all their attacks, but he also says it wears him out. Yeah, of course it does. I mean, seeing this every day, I also see him on Twitter just replying to basically everything. The guy is obviously, in his mind, is working overtime at the moment. I mean, even the littlest bit of criticism, can fuck us up sometimes. But this guy is getting criticism from every angle, and I just hope he has people around him helping him through this. That's all. He doesn't need to take the world on by himself. He just doesn't need to. I hope people around him help him see that.
Political power and popularity. Even in the United States, we had Father Coughlin in the World War II period, with screeds of anti-Semitism. He had 30 million followers back then on the radio listening to him, and eventually he was taken off there, thankfully, by the church. And
you hope he wins. This is not about him winning, because if that's what you're aiming for, then you don't understand the movement. It's about accountability for the crimes of genocide. That is what we're after here, and I hope we can look past or look beyond ourselves as individuals to see that we're fighting a bigger battle. He will be able to confront the system from the inside. He is confronting it. He's using his privilege to confront it. It's great. Like, I think what he's doing is incredible. He needs voices of compassion. He needs people who who are there to kind of look after him, eh? Like, he's going through a lot right now. And his mental state can't be good.
And then ultimately shamed publicly. And that's where Hasan Piker needs to go, and the Democratic Party. We need to shame this man.
Less manosphere, more feminist. Nah, fuck. Yeah. The one thing about Western feminism is it's a complete fraud. Western feminism is a white supremacist project. He doesn't need Western feminism around him. He doesn't need white feminism around him. What he needs is humans with empathy. He needs people to anchor him to something bigger than himself.
And get him out of our party, get him out of campaigning with candidates, and make sure that the American people understand that we have no tolerance for this kind of language.
So, Joel, does it concern you when you see some of your leadership within the party or party elders say, this is all a big tent? You know, I look at, there's
Not a
some
fun
on the
tent to
right.
be in.
There's
No.
some on the right that want to be a part of the right, but I don't want to be a part of their tent. I won't vote for.
That's extremely disrespectful to black feminism. Black feminism isn't Western feminism, man. Black feminism is much bigger than white feminism. Black feminism is more important than white feminism, because white supremacy has fucked up our world. I'm sorry, Jimmy. You just don't understand this. You just don't understand that white supremacy and white privilege are... White feminism isn't feminism? What do you mean it's not feminism? Of course there are white feminists fighting against patriarchy, but they don't take into account their privilege, their white privilege. I don't think so, Jimmy. I think white feminism, or at least the label of white feminist, Western feminism in itself is white feminism. It's white supremacist in nature. Like black feminism falls into, African feminism. It's a global phenomena. Black people of color, women of color, feminism around the world is absolutely excluded from Western feminism. It is a racist thing. Western feminism is racist in nature. I mean, look at how Western feminism has treated women in Palestine. They've treated them like garbage. So please, don't tell me about fucking feminism.
For them. I won't campaign with them. I won't appear on stage with them.
Yeah, Lawrence, I don't want to be in the tent with the guy who's trying to kill me. You know, I am just not interested in that. And there are many very strongly pro-peace, pro-Palestinian people who belong in that tent. But Hasan Piker, he's trafficking in hate speech, and that has to be out. The same thing goes to like Nick Fuentes in the Republican Party. He's not a member of the big tent.
Nope.
He's a right-winger, but he's out. And I commend those who are pushing him out. And I want us to do the same on my side. I don't think that there.
This is the conservative like playbook. This is the liberal playbook, is to compare people like Hasan with people like Nick Fuentes. Look at what Hasan is asking and look at what Nick Fuentes is asking. It's like completely different. But this is what makes the world more dangerous for everybody. Not just Jewish people, everybody. Because Nick Fuentes is selling vile bigotry and hatred against people of color and the Jewish community. He is actually saying, the Hitler-esque extermination needs to happen. Hasan isn't saying that at all. It's the craziest fucking conflation these guys make, and they are actually making the world more dangerous for so many people.
There's any need to have him in. It does not help us politically either. In fact, it harms us politically, as you're talking about with candidate El Sayed, who is being dragged down now by this hate monger.
Joe, I'm just curious. There are some younger Jews that still associate themselves with it. We even saw it in New York City, where Mondami got 30% of the vote. What is the disconnect of the younger generation? They don't see it this way. They don't see it as hateful rhetoric. They see it as standing up for the Palestinian children in Gaza. How do you separate the two?
Yeah, Lawrence, welcome to my world, right? I mean, this is a dynamic, and I wrote about it in my piece for the Free Press about
Police
the infrastructure around Senator Sanders, for example. A lot of young progressives who essentially, in the Jewish lane, say, well, anything goes. You can say anything about Jews, and we're still going to want to be able to sit at the cool kids table of the progressive movement. And that's because right now a litmus test is being created for Jewish participation in the progressive movement, which is if you support Israel and express empathy for Israelis, you're out. You need to block.
Yeah. That's anybody, not just Jewish people. What? It's like, right now there's a litmus test happening. If you have support for Nazis or if you show empathy for Nazis, then you're out. What the fuck is wrong with that? It's a state committing genocide, man. Like, who the fuck are you going to let into the tent who supports genocide? What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Any of those feelings and thoughts if you want to continue to play at the progressive table. And that's anti-Semitic just by its pure definition.
No, it's not.
American Jews, and this is something I want to mention as well.
He just did it. He just did it right there. He conflated Judaism with Zionism. Again. He conflated Judaism with the state of Israel. Again.
To the audience, you know, when Hasan Piker talks, he has no understanding of the American-Jewish relationship with the state of Israel, the century of support for our Jewish brothers and sisters in Europe, and then ultimately after the Holocaust in Israel to rebuild the Jewish world. And this is a part of who we are for 2,000 years. When we go to synagogue, we pray about returning to Zion, to Zion. This is not some new idea of a couple of decades ago. And it's really offensive to have people telling us, American Jews, how we should be Jewish. And I think that's very important to get across.
Bro, genocide's bad, buddy. Genocide's bad.
To young people who really are growing up without the kind of stresses that my parents and grandparents experienced.
It's ridiculous that you guys are even having to go through this, but I'm glad you're
right.
being bold, Joel. Thanks so much
Lawrence.
for joining the program. More Fox and Friends straight.
Fuck's sakes. This is what's happened. And the Democrats keep giving this ammo. Like, Hasan did not say these things, but the Democrats are making this happen, and they're giving room for genocide to happen. They're giving room for ethnic cleansing in the West Bank and genocide in the West Bank to happen. Because ultimately, they're all in support of the hegemonic status of America, right? This is all about continuing to keep Israel fed and watered on American tax dollars in order to maintain American imperialism around the world. It's so fucking sick, man. These people are evil as fuck.
On another important issue, Leader Jeffries, you issued a statement yesterday slamming what you called the malicious claim that American Jews are inviting violence against themselves as, quote, dangerous and anti-Semitic. Was that in reference to far-left influencer Hasan Piker and his recent very controversial comments?
Yes, those comments were dangerous, malicious, and anti-Semitic, and should not be tolerated by anyone in the public square. What we've seen is a startling rise of hate crimes all across the United States of America, but particularly in this moment.
America's so fucked, eh? America is in such a shitty place right now. It's got people... It's got... America is just... It's so divisive in the way, like, media is used to fucking beat down on people who are trying to stop genocide. It's so sick, man. America's such a fucked place.
Directed against our Jewish brothers and sisters. And everybody, regardless of ideological perspective, should be willing to denounce this rise of anti-Semitic rhetoric, hate crimes, and bigotry, and actually try to move us to a society where we embrace everyone, even where there are differences on issues, be they foreign or domestic. The notion that people should be targeted because of their religious beliefs or ethnicity or race, whatever the case may be, that's fundamentally inconsistent with who we are in this country.
Thanks so much, Congressman, for joining us. I want to dive.
Where are all the segments? Where are all the segments? Where are all the segments about genocide? Where this is how mainstream media does it. This is how mainstream media does it. It's insane. This is how mainstream media does it.
Thanks so much, Congressman, for joining us. I want to dive deeper into your campaign and your recent primary win, but let's start here. As the GOP candidate running for office in November, do you view this meeting between Jared Kushner and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries as an acknowledgement from the Trump world that Democrats may, in fact, win the House of Representatives in the upcoming midterm elections?
No, I don't. And look, I think knowing Jared Kushner, I think he's just keeping lines of communication open. These are some of the things that he does repeatedly, even during his time as a top official in the Trump 45 White House. And so Jared is probably just continuing conversations he had with Hakeem Jeffries. But none of that changes the fact of what's happening or going to happen in the midterm elections over the next 70 days. We are going to continue to see this contrast between a Republican Party focused on the pocketbook issues of not just the people of Florida, but all across America, compared to the radicalism that we are seeing from the Democrats socialists, and really not having any concrete answers to address the concerns of the American people.
You ran your primary campaign, Congressman, with President Trump's endorsement, and you're now officially set to face Democrat David Jolly this fall for governor of Florida. Polling between you and Jolly is considerably closer than Florida's most recent governor's races. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think, first of all, when you're the party that's in power, it's always a tougher cycle. That's just normal. I think number two, yes, people are looking at prices in their pocketbooks. This is why
I don't think anybody should just brush off Hakeem Jeffries' meeting with Jared Kushner this simply. I don't think anyone should brush it off because that meeting wasn't just about, the cost of living crisis. It wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. There's just so much more, I reckon, that's in that. The cost of living crisis, man, we are seeing a campaign of protect Israel happening here in media, in our political class, especially in the West. We are seeing a project to protect Israel just in full motion. We're seeing it. It's that I think this is more than just Project Protect Israel, though. I think this is Project Protect American Imperialism. And Israel is a big part of American imperialism. So I think this is an all-out, an all-in project to continue to maintain American power around the world. And Donny Boy is slowly but surely eroding that faster than, The best thing that can happen, guys, is the state of Israel becomes too expensive to maintain for America. And you will see how quickly they'll drop the whole anti-Semitic thing and just be like, oh, yeah, we just can't maintain this. It's too expensive. The cost of living is too high, blah, blah, blah. There is no person more out of touch with the affordability crisis than Jared Kushner. Yeah, exactly. So all of this bullshit and attacking Hasan is a crazy effort to try and whitewash what's happening. But I don't think it's going to work. I think young people are much smarter than this now. I think young people are way more informed. They tried to do it like with TikTok, buying TikTok, and then, you know, trying to just censor TikTok basically. But it wasn't about one platform. It was just the fact that people have seen mass murder, and there's no going back. There's no going back. All right. I think that's enough about Hasan. Hasan, bro, here's my advice for you. Here's what I hope for you. I hope you are surrounded by people who love you, by people who can be empathetic and sympathetic to what you're going through. Don't listen to the haters. I think I think a lot of people know exactly who you are and what you stand for. Just keep going. Don't over-explain shit. We all know that you are what you've done. Just the advocacy for the Palestinian people has been of huge impact. At least it has for me. Because again, guys, as I say to you, one of the first voices I heard talking about Palestine with no self-censorship was Hasan. And after October the 7th. And I will never, ever forget it. It's what made me want to talk about it as well. So, bro, just keep fucking going. Don't let these assholes get in your way. And surround yourself with people who understand you and will look after your health. Okay, let's get into the Canadian
trade war between
trade war.
Canadian leaders are lashing out at President.
Let's go. It's the trade war,
Well,
folks.
we've got a lot.
Let's talk about the Canadian trade war. About the trade war. Are you guys ready for chat about the trade war? God dang. You know those goddamn Canadians? They be saying about and shit. Or sorry. Sorry. What the fuck? Goddamn Canadians. They can't speak English. Okay. That's enough Canadian satire. A boot. Okay. Can Canada survive Donald Trump's 50% tariff hammer on cars and steel?
The trade war between the US and Canada is back on. And I want to show you why this matters, not just for these two countries, but for the rest of the world, because this has geopolitical consequences. It's about China as well. It's about the rest of us. But it's certainly about these two countries. And the way to get a sense of that is to look literally under the bonnet of the economy, to get a sense of just how these two countries interact economically. And a good place to do that, if we zoom in, it's here. It's Michigan, it's Detroit, it's Windsor. It is the home of North American car making, at least traditionally. And the interesting thing about this border, we went there just kind of recently, is just how much commerce there is between it. This is the busiest border between Canada and America anywhere. You've got trucks going over all the time, and most of those trucks are filled with parts that are used for making cars. Cars like this.
Candace, what are you talking about?
Chrysler Pacific are actually made on the Canadian side of the border. But if you open up the door, like I said, we are going literally under the bonnet. If you could have opened up the door, you'll see parts like this. This is called a striker. It's the thing, basically, if you close your car door, this is what it latches onto. It's not necessarily super sophisticated, but it's really important, and it can't go wrong. And right now, the strikers for a lot of cars made in that kind of Detroit area, they're made kind of across the border in Windsor, Ontario. So they're made there. But if we follow the journey of one of...
Okay, Candace. Okay.
I want to be a good boy.
Okay. I'll stop, okay? I'll stop, okay? I'll stop.
They don't know what the they're doing.
Hey, Canadians. This is what I think. This is what I think, though, Canadians.
He should kiss my ass.
One of those parts as it's being made. You'll
Come
get a
at
sense
me.
If you multiply
Come
that
at
by
me,
20,
Canadians.
30,000, 'cause cars
Come at me. Come at me, Canadians.
made of that many parts. If you multiply that by that, you will get a sense of why this is so complex here. So the steel for the Striker, it's made in Wixom, so just north of Detroit. It gets sent over the border, goes across the bridge there. It gets moved across to another plant where it's heat treated. It gets sent back across the border for plating. You can see it's crossing the border again and again. Then it goes across the border one more time to be packaged back in Windsor, Ontario, and then it gets sent across the border again for assembly into the final car. Now, this is just one example, one part, one particular journey. But like I say, this is already across the border.
Yeah, come find out what we all about. Oh, hold on. I have a song for this. Can we get Maple Leaves in chat, please? I have a song for this, everybody.
Times have changed, our kids are getting worse. They want to obey their parents, they just want to fart and curse. Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada!
Blame Canada!
With all their beady little eyes and flapping heads so full of life.
Blame Canada! Blame Canada!
We need to form a full assault.
It's Canada's fault.
Don't blame me for my son Stan. He saw the Dan cartoon and now he's off to join the clan. And my boy Eric once had my picture on his shelf, but now when I see him he tells me to fuck myself. Well, blame Canada!
Blame Canada!
It seems that everything's gone wrong since Canada came along.
Blame Canada! Blame Canada!
They're not even a real country anyway.
My son could have been a doctor or a lawyer, rich and true. Instead, he burned up like a piggy on a barbecue.
Should we blame the matches? Should we blame the fire? Or the doctors who allowed him to expire?
Heck no!
Blame Canada! Blame Canada!
With all their hockey hullabaloo, and that bitch I'm married to.
Blame Canada! Shame on Canada! For the smuggling will stop, the trash will smash, the laughter and fun must all be undone. We must blame them and cause a fuss before somebody thinks of blaming us.
Below the average. There are many that parts that
Just letting you know.
cross the border kind of 6, 7, 8 times just as they're being made before they get to the finished car. This is what you call basically a single market, an entirely porous border. And if you start imposing tariffs on this stuff going across,
Just as soon as I finish this dot there, bud, we're gonna head her on out to the tree in Edmonton for a tussle. Is that English, Shiny? I don't even know. Is that supposed to be English? Is that French? I can't tell.
then you can see you've got a big problem, big consequences, really inflationary for people. And so thus far, even though there has been this trade war, a lot of this stuff has been excluded. Certainly the car parts have been excluded. Some of the steel has been tariffed. But here's what's interesting about this, okay? So that was one tiny example. Big picture here, Canada is massively integrated with America. So imagine that all the way across the border. This is showing you Canadian exports and where they go to. So this is the stuff that potentially gets tariffed now, and the majority of it goes to America. Just look at how much higher that bar is than everywhere else. There's the US in second place, by the way. Majority of it goes to America. Same thing for Canadian imports. And Mark Carney has said, listen, if we're going to have this trade war, we're going to be imposing tariffs on American goods coming across. That's a big problem for Canada as well. And this is why a lot of people are looking at the Canadian economy and going, this looks kind of recessionary to us. You know, it's going to have a big impact, really big impact.
Why the fuck are people losing their mind about Dolly Parton? Like, am I not somehow included in this fucking sycophantery? Was she good for the working class or something? Was she anti-racist? Like, why are we celebrating this woman? What did she do? I'm showing my ignorance here, but like, what's the deal?
But it could also have an impact on the US. And obviously, America isn't as dependent on Canada as Canada is on America. But look at steel imports. So where is America importing its steel from? Well, Canada is up there in the top position. There's Mexico, there's Brazil, South Korea, but Canada at the top. Same for aluminium.
She was a chud that gave back. Oh, I see. She was pro-gay and pro-trans. Oh, that's amazing. She was pro-trans? Really? Dolly? Good on Dolly. I only know she had a company that sends free books for kids in the mail. Wow. Okay. She was pro-BLM. Nice. Was she pro-Palestine?
Aluminum, I should say. It's even more stark there. So much of America's aluminium comes from Canada. And obviously, actually, that has already been tariffed. And
was she anti the genocide against the Palestinians?
part of these talks that have just broken down were about trying to get the tariffs on this stuff down, because higher tariffs on Canadian aluminium mean that's more expensive for car producers and producers of everything else, aircraft, for instance, in America. You see how this all kind of intertwines. And you know, the big picture here, if we're going kind of looking historically, how did you get that border where you have a part that's crossing kind of 4, 5, 6 times? It's largely down to the fact that tariffs between the two countries came down and down and down. They came down in the kind of, you know, in the 80s and the 90s with the Canada-US Free Trade Agreement, going down, 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 basically to zero. So Canadian goods have been able to enter the US, and US goods going into America as well, with basically zero tariffs for the most part, for most of recent history.
Lizard's Lounge.
You know, for decades. All the way up until there. That's, what is it? Well, that's Donald Trump's first term. So you can see that spike there over various talks over various different commodities. But this is as nothing compared with what we're seeing right now, what we actually have in place. Look at where the line is now. Just look at that. Up at kind of 3.5%. And these are the tariffs that are in place right now. So what we're seeing on the border, not just the threats, that's what we're seeing. And it's worth just, you know, having a bit of context. Historically, that's maybe not unprecedented, but we've never seen anything like that for kind of going back 40, 50 years. But if you look, compare Canada and those tariff rates, effective tariff rates they're called, compare them to other countries around the world, clearly they are lower. Okay, so there you've got China, you've got up above 20% just recently, you've got Japan, Brazil, Turkey, India, Russia, even the UK there, because of course we're having to face a 10% tariff. Canada's a fair bit.
Guessing she was tied to Christianity. She had been sick, though. Guys, I don't want to hurt your feelings if she was your hero. I think the genocide of the Palestinians and being against it are fucking base level filter.
Lower than that, partly because so many goods are going across the border and most of them have been excluded, like that striker part recently. Well, these new tariffs, the kind of threat that, that the US is talking about, the US Trade Representative, is these Section 338 tariffs. That basically doubles that. So that is a big impact, at least for Canada. But here's what's interesting and kind of quite nerve-wracking. It could be bigger still than that, because we just had this social media post from Donald Trump, and of course a lot of this is positioning, but even so. He says, from the start of next year, tariffs on all cars, trucks, both large and small, automotive parts, think about that part we just saw a moment ago, think about that, and steel will be increased to 50%. And for a lot of this stuff, previously it was excluded. The threat is it's going to be included. In other words, you're going to have tariffs on the stuff that was zero tariff before. Massive, massive economic consequences if this does come into play. And behind the scenes, you know, since this began, you have seen Canada responding. Canadian consumers in particular, you know, there's been this kind of move to try and buy more Canadian stuff. And if you look at food consumption in Canada, this line is just showing you food consumption of Canadian food and how it's spiked up, and how American food, this is in Canada, consumption of American food has gone down. Since that point, what happened there, that was Liberation Day. That was the moment that Donald Trump said, look, I'm slapping tariffs on Canada. People in Canada are saying, no, we don't want to buy American, you know, California orange juice. We don't want to buy Jack Daniel's whiskey, all of this stuff. That has had a consequence. But that's only one thing. And already you're also seeing Mark Carney saying, okay, we're not just going to kind of do those things. We're also going to make big changes to our tariff rules as well, so that we're trying to bring in goods from elsewhere. So up until recently, this is showing you the tariffs that various different countries around the world have on Chinese electric vehicles. And you'll remember, America has 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs. That actually goes back to Joe Biden, really high, basically saying, we don't want your Chinese EVs. Canada had the same thing, up until Mark Carney going to Beijing and saying, no, we're going to lower the tariff. We're going to lower it down to there. There are some quotas in place, so it's only so many. But nonetheless, that is a massive shift, isn't it? And it goes to, you know, one of the
We pulled American booze from shelves completely. Canadian whiskey is so much better.
concerns that Donald Trump has, which is, look, Canada is on the rise. We want to be making more stuff domestically. We don't want to be importing things from China. Well, Mark Carney's just said, we're going to import more things from China. And the one area where you haven't necessarily seen that kind of shift to China is this. This is Canadian oil exports. So Canada, a massive oil producer, particularly kind of tar sands. And recently, the dark blue bits are showing you America, the stuff that goes to America. The light blue bits is basically everywhere else. And what do you see from this chart? You see that, you know, almost all of it goes to the US. And why is that? Well, here's kind of a striking thing. Partly, it's because a lot of the refineries in America are set up to process that kind of sticky tar sands. It's a really hard job to do, and America refineries are quite good at it. But partly, just as much, so the kind of oil sands, mostly in Alberta, just as much, it's because the pipelines that take that oil from where it's coming out of the ground to the refineries, where do most of them go? They almost all go to America. It's the Keystone, it's the main line, and there's others as well. So the majority of Canadian oil goes to America because that's where the pipes have been built, have been laid. But here's the kind of striking thing to think about right at the end. Mark Carney is now trying to get a new pipeline constructed alongside, more or less, the Trans Mountain Pipeline, going towards Vancouver, going towards Canada's west coast, so that that oil can be sent to China. So you can see this is not just about the relationship between the US and Canada. It's not even just about the kind of, you know, this trade war we're in at the moment. It's about the bigger geopolitical question of who is going to be dominant in the world economy in the future. And that's why this is going to be quite a roller coaster.
Okay. Please go watch the videos from yesterday, day before yesterday, the day before that, just to see how locked in I am on this issue. Okay? Just to see how locked in I am. We spoke about this before, this fucking dude. It's obvious, though. Okay? It's obvious that the reason why the trade negotiations fell apart is because I think America was asking for exclusivity between Canada and America. And as part of that exclusivity deal, I think America was asking Canada to drop their trade agreement with China. Okay? That's what I think was going on. And a big part of why it all fell apart. Maybe even India, China and India, you know? I think the United States is starting to realize that that its dominance is being chipped away at bit by bit, and these trade agreements are playing a huge role. So whatever this trade war is, it's a defining moment for North America, because Canada has chosen partners that it thinks are more reliable than the United States for the first time in a long time. It's such a big fucking deal. Now let's look at some reactions of Canadian
leaders are
Canadian leaders. It's great. They're basically saying
he should kiss my ass.
And yeah, it's great.
Lashing out at President Trump and his new threat of 50% tariffs on Canadian cars, trucks, and steel starting on January 1st.
Well, he can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned. We need to throw everything in the kitchen sink at him. He's arrogant. He's cocky.
Ontario's premier is doubling down right now on his angry message to
he should kiss my ass.
To the president.
I have a lot of real estate on my so he has a lot of room to kiss my I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump. bully like President Trump. As I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your lunch money one day, take your toque off your head the next day, and then steal your running shoes. But I'm not going to take any advice off a guy that's the king of bankruptcies.
Sounds like your frustration with President Trump and his tariffs policy against Canada is escalating. Would it be wiser to take the temperature down a bit right now?
Oh, shut the fuck up, Wolf. Honestly, Wolf, you need to do one thing. You need to shut the fuck up.
Between these two longtime great allies?
I think so, Wolf. Things got a little heated. It got a little personal yesterday between the president and myself. But I want to make a good deal for the American people, a good deal for the Canadians. And we're the two greatest countries in the world. We're each other's number one customer. And it's time to get back to the table and let's negotiate a fair deal, because it's hurting the U.S., it's hurting Canada. And we just want to make sure that we have a fair deal.
Good point. But as you know, President Trump this morning is also taking new shots against Canada. On his social media platform, Truth Socially posted, and I'm quoting him now, "The United States is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, in that we don't expect to be doing much business with Ontario any longer." And moments ago, he even offered artwork showing the name change. How do you respond to that? And President Trump saying that the U.S. won't be doing much more business with the Ontario province that you represent.
Oh, shit.
Well, I think it's a lot of rhetoric, because we're the number one customer to 17 states, number 2 to 12 others, Ontario alone. If Ontario was just standalone, would be the third largest trading partner in the world. Canada is the number one customer, and we buy a tremendous amount of goods off Americans. 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce a product, a widget, or a service for Ontario. But we're strong believers in being a sovereign country. And when President Trump wants to attack our sovereignty and attack our businesses and people in Ontario, I can't roll over. My job is to protect Ontario and Canada, and ironically, protecting the American people. President Trump ran on, lowering the cost of goods. Everything's gone up, from homes to fuel. He ran on creating more jobs. Actually, job numbers went down last month, while Ontario gained 52,000 jobs, more than the entire U.S. combined. We have a resilient economy here. We're going to keep going. We're going to continue diversifying the trade. But I feel terrible for the people in the U.S. I always say I love the U.S. I love the American people. But, states like Michigan and Ohio and Texas and Kentucky, the auto states that are manufacturing autos, it's cost the American people and the auto companies $110 billion on these.
Hasn't this guy seen the Dow? Yeah, the Dow is on a tear again. It's tearing, folks. The Dow. I've been BDSing so long. This guy on the left put a bucket of chicken next to him. Sorry, temporary cravings.
Tariffs. We're the number one purchaser of autos off America anywhere in the world, 400% more than anyone. And what's happening now, we're seeing a decrease in Canadians buying American vehicles, which is going to hurt the auto workers. We're the number one customer for steel and aluminum. That's going to hurt the American people. But I feel that we need to get back to the table and build as I always say, Fortress North America. We're stronger working together rather than attacking each other. It just it doesn't make sense.
In the last hour alone, Premier, the President Trump posted on social media that all the countries he deals with, quote, Canada is easily the most difficult and unreasonable. It's a direct quote. Canada is the most difficult and unreasonable. How do you respond to that?
Well, Canada has to stand up for their sovereignty. He's not attacking every other country saying that we're the 51st state. That will never happen. Again, we're the number one customer. We buy more goods and products off the U.S. and vice versa, by the way. than anywhere in the world. And I think we need to grow the pie per se, and create more jobs, more opportunities.
I think you should change your national anthem to include "Trump should kiss our asses." Ford is eating up this publicity. His time to shine. That's not about his brother speaking patios and smoking crack. There's a clip of both.
He's on both sides of the border, and that's what we want to do. I think President Trump wants to hurt the American people. It's going to cost the Americans up to $5,000 more on automobiles. It's going to cost them a few $1,000s more when these tariffs are impacted the U.S. I know the federal government and the Prime Minister is coming out with, I think it's over 95 pages of tariffs against the U.S., and that hurts the American people. I do not understand why he wants to attack.
What does a Canadian heritage moment mean? What does that mean? Shiny, I don't know what that means.
Canada non-stop. We're the closest friends and allies. And make no mistake about it, Wolf, Canadians still love the American people. They love the U.S. They don't see eye to eye with the president by any means, but we love the American people, and I do as well.
And for me, as somebody who grew up in Western New York and Buffalo, right at the border with Ontario, with Canada, it's heartbreaking to see what's going on right now. We love the United States, obviously, but we also love Canada. President Trump has said the U.S. doesn't need Canada, his words, but yesterday he conceded that Canada is a vital supplier of aluminum to the United States.
It's commercials on TV back in the day that highlighted Canadiana. Oh, we need to see this. We need to see this.
States. Listen to this.
And, selfishly, we need aluminum in this country. We don't have it. We get it all from Canada for the most part, and we need it badly.
Do you believe, Premier, that the president is intentionally trying to hurt Canadian industries like aluminum, for example?
Well, with the tariff he's applied on aluminum, you need us to continue buying steel and aluminum. You need the potash for the agricultural sector. That 90% of the potash goes down to your great farmers that we're supporting, and there's no other place to get it. If you want to get it off Russia, that's fine. Everyone wants our potash around the world. The uranium that actually gets shipped from Saskatchewan to Ontario, refined in Ontario, and then gets enriched into the U.S., not to mention the 4.1 million barrels of oil that Alberta ships down every single day. And our high-grade nickel, 65%.
I've seen Justin Trudeau's blackface photos.
Of
Crazy.
all the high-grade nickel that you use for your military, for manufacturing, for aerospace, comes from Ontario. I want to ship more, and not to mention the energy that we keep 1.5 million lights on in homes and businesses in New York and Michigan and Minnesota. I want to ship you more electricity. I want to send you more nickel. We want to work together. That's what we want to do. I don't know if President Trump feels the same way.
You said that there are, it was specifically, let me get the words directly. You said you'd be willing to cut off Ontario's exports of electricity and critical minerals to the United States. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, what I was saying, Wolf, that everything is on the table right now. But would I rather send more electricity to power your plants and power your data centers and power other areas and homes that you don't have? We have the electricity that the U.S. needs, and I'm more than happy to send them more if we get a fair deal. I want to open up our critical mineral market rather than depending on China that has cornered the market. No one has more rare earth minerals, critical minerals, than Ontario does. I want to partner with the U.S. And it's unfortunate that it's gotten to the place that he wants to attack Canada unprovoked. And I do not understand it. We buy more agricultural products off the U.S. than anyone. Actually, I think we're tied with Mexico, pretty almost bang on. But that's what we need to do. Put a fortress North America, create more opportunities. make sure that the American people and Canadians have certainty and stability. Right now, I can tell you, talking to a lot of Americans, because my phone was just flooded with calls yesterday, there's not certainty and there's not stability. That's what the U.S. needs. That's what Canada needs. And we need to work together.
Our existing counter tariffs, including those on automobiles, will remain in place. Canada's remission framework will also remain available to mitigate unintended consequences for Canadian businesses. Canada's counter tariffs are designed primarily to provide protection for Canadian industry impacted by U.S. tariffs and allow them to compete against U.S. products in the Canadian market. It's all about fairness, it's all about level playing field, it's all about supporting Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. When the United States of America asked too much and offered too little, we made a choice. We chose Canada.
Joining me now is the former Premier of Quebec, Jean Charest. Thank you so much for being here. Let me first ask you, is the U.S.-Canada relationship forever damaged because of Trump's economic war with Canada, these new tariffs?
The relationship we have with the United States is a people-to-people relationship first, Sarah. And we, like Americans, we get along well with our American neighbors and friends. We're allies. And I don't think that will ever change. And notwithstanding what happens at the political level, whether it's at the Canadian political level or the American political level, the issue, though, is will be one of trust. As
we here in Canada already tried counter tariffs last year and lost. There's nothing we can counter, unfortunately. Well, I think what America's trying to do is cut off Canada and Latin America from the rest of the world and work and everything that Canada and Latin America does is in the interest of America, of the United States of America. They're trying to ensure that there are no relationships built with the rest of the world without it being approved or managed by America. Oh, Black Lemmy, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Oh my gosh, we've got a double raid, everybody. We got a double raid. Welcome, folks. Nidar. Kia ora, welcome. Thank you so much, Raiders. Welcome in. Lolo Le 13. Thank you for the raid. Black Lemmy, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, people. Welcome in. Oh my goodness. What is happening? Thank you so much. Hey, Train de Nuit, Cole. I feel like you're either French or Canadian. French or Canadian. We were just playing this song. I know if you're Canadian and you're here, we have loads of Canadians in chat. Oh, French. I see. We were just playing the song before you came here. Can we get Canadian flags in the chat, please?
Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They want to ban their parents. They just want to fart and curse. Should we blame the government or blame society?
Or should we blame the images on TV?
No, blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
With all their beady little eyes and flapping heads so full of lies.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
We need to form a full assault.
It's Canada's fault.
French.
Don't blame me.
Bonjour.
My son stand.
Oh, we got French people in the chat. I love it.
And my will
I love it.
Had my picture
Hold
on
up,
his
hold
shelf.
up.
But now
We
when I
got
see
French
he tells
people
me
in
to fuck
chat.
myself. Well, blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
We need this. We need this.
Since Canada came along.
Blame Canada. Blame
We're not even a real country anyway.
Hold on. This is for you, French people. Again, yeah, fair enough. Okay. Welcome, French people. Welcome. This is also a great track from a French artist known as Yame. I don't know if you know him.
Ne laisse pas ton odeur imprégner mes draps. Et si tu m'abandonnes, je suis pas celle que tu crois. Qu'un cabron ne m'a touché.
My French friends, it is so good to have you on the live. Welcome. Welcome.
Je suis une clandestine, clandestine à Miami. De cocaïne, un crime à faire.
It's good to have you here.
Je suis une clandestine à Miami.
Oh my goodness. Candace.
Un crime à faire. Je suis une clandestine à Miami. De cocaïne, un crime à faire. Je suis une clandestine à Miami.
Oh. Welcome, friends. Welcome, friends. Welcome in. Welcome in. How are you, Nidar? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. And I just want to let you know that Nidar was the one who was the person who recommended Afro Decolonial Manifesto, I think, is the name of the book, exact name of the book. It is a wonderful, wonderful read. Maybe you can decide our debate we had on stream. Is it elitist to think there are movies that force more the people to think than others to oppose blockbuster and amateur cinema? Is that a rhetorical question? Is that a just kidding? Fine with me. Guys, it's so good to have you guys here. Oh my gosh. Nidar, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Black Lemmy. Lolo Le 13. Cole Keb. I'm just saying it like in a French accent. Because, you know, why not? Missionary Starfish, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Just kidding for me to ask you to decide the debate. But I would love your opinion if you have one. Okay. Maybe you can decide our debate we had on stream. Is it elitist to think there are movies that force more people to think than others to oppose blockbusters and amateur cinema? I'm trying to understand that question. To force more people to think than others to oppose blockbuster and amateur cinema. Can we reword that question? I'm finding it hard to understand that. Boom, big question being asked. More people to think than others to oppose blockbusters and amateur cinema. I think it's more the structure of that question that I'm not getting. Lost in translation. It's a riff. What? Scary. I think it's a real question. To think there are movies that force more people to think than others. I have to tell people to think than others to oppose blockbusters. Let me just put it this way. I think it's elitist to gatekeep. I think it's. Do you think that some movies make you think and some don't? Or do you think every movie makes you think and reflect equally? Oh, no. I mean, come on. Like Sharknado. Sharknado doesn't make me think of shit. Oh, yeah. Some movies make me think more. Absolutely. Some movies make me think more. Sharknado was a great movie. That's not elitist at all, by the way. I think people can enjoy both. Yes, people can enjoy both, but I don't think Sharknado made me think or reflect or anything like that. You can find things to think in every movie. You can, for example, analyze Sharknado politically. You can, but also, I think you miss the point when you do that, right? I don't think the movie was meant to be analyzed politically. Sharknado, what if it happened though? I think that there is intent to how a movie's made. And I think the director puts that intent into the movie. I wonder if you ask the director of Sharknado, like, what would you want? So it can be analyzed, yes. But the question was like, do some movies make me think more than others? Right? Like, yeah, absolutely. Some movies make me think more than others. Even if I analyzed Sharknado for its political leanings, I don't think it would take me too long to analyze compared to, say, something like The King's Speech. I don't think a Bollywood movie, for example, the Bollywood movies with song and dance would have the same political impact on me as a Dunkirk might. I mean, anything can be analyzed, but was the intent behind Sharknado to make people analyze it with a political lens? Probably not. Yeah. But you can analyze it, right? Candace, I think that's what the question's about. I think you can analyze it. A rollerblade versus car pursuit. Let me put it this way. Yeah, I agree with that too, Black Lemmy. I agree with that too, that every movie is saying something, absolutely, and you can analyze all of those things. But I think there are levels to what you can analyze and get from a movie, right? You can analyze Sharknado as much as you want, but I can guarantee you will not get as much value from analyzing Sharknado as you would Birth of a Nation. Right? Like, there are levels to this, I feel. Are you like, Sharknado made me reflect on this or that? Or are you like, this was a nice, dumb roller coaster that did not make me reflect on deep questions and I'm fine with it? Yeah, I'd say the second. You don't think there are levels? Really? Would you compare Sharknado with The Birth of a Nation in terms of the like political impact between the two? Like, do you think you could analyze and get as much value out of Sharknado as you could out of The Birth of a Nation? Birth of a Nation is the first Birth of a Nation was made to amplify hatred against black people in America. I'll show you guys The Birth of a Nation. It's a film that was made in 1915. The Birth of a Nation is a 1915 American silent epic drama film directed by D.W. Griffith and starring Lillian Gish. The screenplay is adapted from Thomas Dixon Jr.'s 1905 novel and play The Klansman, a historical romance of the Ku Klux Klan. Griffith co-wrote the screenplay with Frank E. Woods and produced the film with Harry Aitken. The Birth of a Nation is a landmark film of history lauded for its technical... Yeah, exactly. It's a white supremacist... It's a white supremacist film, has depictions of lynchings. It's fucked up. It's extremely hateful. And if I'm not mistaken, Spike Lee also did a short movie called Birth of a Nation. I think so. There was a response to this movie. Birth of a Nation. There was like a, I think it was in 1920. It was suggested, actually. Hold on, I'll tell you the name of that movie. It's called Within Our Gates. Within Our Gates in 1920. Oscar Michaud. French name. All right, that's a very French name. Let's look at it. Within Our Gates, yeah. So this is Within Our Gates is a 1920 American silent race drama film produced, written, and directed by Oscar. How do I say this? I know this is Devereaux. Is this Michaud? Michaud. The film portrays the contemporary racial situation in the United States during the early 20th century, the years of Jim Crow, the revival of Ku Klux Klan, the Great Migration of blacks to cities of the North and Midwest, and the emergence of the new Negro. Would you give more value to Birth of a Nation than Sharknado? I wouldn't, and that's my point. Like, but I think you're trying to objectify something that is subjective, though, aren't you? You're saying that you're bringing an objective lens to something that is a very subjective matter. Like, to you may be comparing Sharknado to Birth of a Nation as equally valuable, but to people who have family members who were lynched, I don't think they would say Sharknado is more valuable. Like, how can you leave subjectivity out of art? I think there are parts of movies that can be analyzed objectively, like technique and things that are not the discourse. Sure, but then added together, like you can look at the technique, of course, but then when you look at things that are not the discourse, when you add all of those things together, I think you could obviously analyze the subjective nature of Within Our Gates or Birth of a Nation more than Sharknado. I need to know the shark was woke. Yeah, the mix of the two is only analyzable subjectively. Yes. So how can you say that both are equal value? Because when I look at even me, technique isn't objective either. Yeah, you're right, hypervisor. Technique isn't objective. For me, from a technique perspective, I actually really enjoy Wes Anderson movies, right? I can subjectively look at a Wes Anderson movie and say it's aesthetically very pleasing to me, whereas someone else might say they don't really care for it. So I don't think you can split out subjectivity and objectivity in either case. So I mean, when you look at value, I think The Birth of a Nation and Within Our Gates 100% bought more social value, good or bad, than Sharknado. How can we ignore that? I guess from your perspective, you may think those two are equal value, but I don't know. I think from many people's perspectives, Birth of a Nation and Within Our Gates added far more to social discourse than Sharknado. You can say that. Of course you can say that. But the analysis of a movie is more than just objective analysis, right? If we're going to talk about analysis, we should be talking about subjective and objective analysis. Because the question was, does one movie make me think more than the other? Nah, it's a good question. I think it's a good question. It's a fine question. I don't mind talking about it. Is subjective and elitist? Do you think No, no, I don't think it's elitist at all. That's because how can it be elitist to think that discourse on racism is more important than discourse on white supremacy is more important than the subtleties of sharks raining down from the sky? I don't think that's elitist. I think that's actually valid because what Birth of a Nation did to America was got people lynched. You can, but what impact did it have on society though, Black Lemmy? Like, what impact did Sharknado have on society? Like, why did Birth of a Nation have such a massive anti-black and racist reaction, but Sharknado didn't? Like, part of your analysis has to be what impact it had as well, right? No, I wouldn't say that. I would say Birth of a Nation is more valuable than Sharknado because it highlights what white supremacy has done to black people. It is a continuation of anti-blackness. Of course, it's more valuable in that way. It's not elitist to think that. It's actually an equitable way to think about the world, I feel. We need the cocaine bear on the boat to stop the sharks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's elitist to think that some movies are more valuable. I would prefer Birth of a Nation didn't exist. I don't care about Sharknado's existence. Isn't that elitist? Isn't that elitist? Isn't that an elitist view? Isn't that censorship? That's like saying you would prefer white supremacy didn't exist, but it does exist. I don't care about Sharknado's existence. Well, that seems elitist. I care about Sharknado's. It's not censorship to delete Nazis. Well, they exist though. It's amnesia to delete Nazis. Like, do you want to travel back in time and delete them and ensure that they didn't exist, or is it actually a good lesson to remember what the Nazis did? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I thought we were talking about history and culture. Let me just finish it this way, okay, Black Lemmy? Let me just finish it this way, because I think we'll just go around in circles. I think, without a doubt, that the Birth of a Nation has been a far more impactful, whether good or bad, good value or bad value, has been far more impactful. And in that way, if impact equals value, and impact usually is value, has been far more valuable than Sharknado has. If Sharknado didn't exist, it wouldn't matter to me, like you say. But the fact that Birth of a Nation exists matters to me. And I think that's the difference. And you can't remove subjectivity from this, right? Like, I don't think you're wrong to think your way. I just don't think you can, by saying the other way of thinking is wrong, is right. What makes a film valuable is in itself very subjective. Yeah. But also there are other ways to measure. To be fair with Lemmy, the impact of Birth of a Nation is due to the fact that it was technically groundbreaking for its time, where Sharknado was technically garbage. Yeah, but we're saying, is all art equal? I don't think it is. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I don't think all art is equal. Is it relevant for all art to exist? Yes. But if you're going to measure value, let's measure value. I don't think it's elitist to think that Birth of a Nation had more impact on our society than Sharknado.
Future. And obviously that trust has been lost.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. This has been quite a 48 hours.
The Trump administration. So I want to be optimistic and look.
There's also not one type of value. For film's sake, its value is dog shit, but for its historical value, it's extremely important. Actually, Chasm, even the for film's sake, it broke a lot of boundaries because it was the first film. It was groundbreaking in that way. It was the first silent film. If you look at it now, that's where film comes from. I see your point, but the fact Birth of a Nation is part of a cultural corpus because it serves capitalist and fascist interests, and so has been decided by the bourgeoisie to matter, is an elitist point to thinking did the bourgeoisie think it matters, or do black people, working class or across the class spectrum, think it matters? Because race is fundamentally has shaped the world we live in. And this is the thing. I think you've got to understand that race sits across all classifications. And I think it comes back to I think it comes back to but the bourgeoisie don't get to decide your trauma. I mean, they cause the trauma, but they don't get to decide which trauma you remember and which you don't when it's your family. And this is the one mistake I think leftists often make is that somehow, the class war sits above white supremacy and white privilege. And I think you've got to understand that there is no such thing. I mean, we're too quick to go to the class war. I think a lot of leftists struggle with this because and I say this a fair bit, there is no such thing as a class war without dismantling white supremacy and white privilege. And that's why Birth of a Nation matters, because it shows that the most horrific so it is a white supremacist film, right? What the Birth of a Nation shows is how destructive white supremacy is and where white privilege comes from. And from that perspective, I think it's an extremely valuable film. And it's not that the elitists are telling us that it's valuable. It's valuable because it reveals something very important about society.
Look ahead, and Americans should know that the decisions we make are because of President Trump, where we continue to have a very deep respect for the American people.
Prime Minister Carney pledged to match the U.S.'s tariffs dollar for dollar starting September 8th, with roughly 70% of Canadian exports coming to the United States. After the U.S., of course, imposed that 50% tariff on those $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. Can Canada handle that kind of economic strain?
Interesting convo.
It is a cost on our economy, and tariffs are not good news for anyone. The issue here, Sarah, in relation to Canada and the United States, what differentiates us is that our economies are just totally...
And I think sometimes white leftists fall to class in reaction to being called out for their own internal fragility about race. Yeah. And I think that is part of white fragility. And I think that is part of the system, like it's part of whiteness as a whole, in that any talk about race, any talk about racism and the inherent impact of white supremacy and white privilege gets almost a negative reaction from whiteness itself. On the most part, I think there's a bit of whiteness that understands why white supremacy is such an important subject and so important to dismantle, whereas even on the left, there are white people who haven't acknowledged, nor have they dismantled this ideology, or I guess spent the time to understand this ideology in their own heads. I think it's a big deal. I think leftism, like I identify as a leftist, and as a brown person who speaks on this, sure, in France we call them rouge brune. Oh, what is that? Yeah, so I'm ethnically Indian, and I call I call brown people who amplify white supremacy house curries. And that's my term. And the reason why I have that term is to show how brown people can also be part of amplifying white supremacy. So Rouge Brune seems something similar. Seems like something similar.
And we are the biggest suppliers to Americans of energy, for example, oil, gas, electricity, energy that you very, very much need, especially with the development of data centers. But our economies are so integrated, Sarah, that it does not make sense to put a tariff in the way of that economy. And a tariff is a tax on American consumers. It's inflationary. It means higher interest rates. It's bad news for everyone. And as Canada retaliates, we are also very aware that this is going to be a cost for our economy. We know that. We're aware of that. But
Rouge Brune equals red brown. It's what we call the leftists that have fascist tendencies. Red is for communism, brown for the tunic brune, brown turnips. Tunique brune, brown tunics that the Nazis wore. Oh, the brown shirts. Right. I get you. Yeah, what's happening in France though, man? What the fuck? Is Marine Le Pen gonna be the leader of France with an ankle bracelet? Is Le Pen gonna rule over France with an ankle bracelet? What's happening, French people? What's going on?
But we are put in a position where we have no other choice than to stand up for ourselves, for our country, or sovereignty, and respond.
Look, this may seem petty, but I do want you to be able to respond to what the president put out this morning on his social media, that he is considering changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. He did this very thing with an executive order when he was battling it out with Mexico.
Do you think Mélenchon, white supremacy is an important subject? What I'm saying is it's because it was an interest of bourgeoisie to make that movie that it was made, and that in fact it is adhering to their form of what matters and not to think it's more valuable. I can talk about it all day and analyze it, but I will not assign it more value. But maybe we just don't use the word value in the same sense. Yeah, and that comes back to but no, Marine won't win. We will not allow it. That's good. Yeah, but then that comes back to subjectivity, right? Like it's too subjective to compare things in the same structure, or to compare art within the same model. Like your mental model on how you look at the world will be different to how I look at the world, and that is just part of who we are. And I don't think we can assign value to things like art through scorecards or analysis. There is something deeper and more subjective. And that's where I think it's contrary to what you're saying. But that's just me. I know the Onion song from France. Mélenchon, do you guys think that he has a good chance of winning? I know the left I know the left won, but they didn't win majority, right? Which is why Macron was able to, elect to the prime minister role basically people from the right, and he chose the people from the center and the right. Basically, Mélenchon has to win unanimously, right? To make any change in France. He has to win unanimously. It can't be it can't be a small win. It has to be a huge win to oust these people, because it has to be supermajority.
Over another tariff dispute there. What do you make of this?
Well, Canada has millions of lakes, Sarah. If he wants to start changing the name of lakes, I mean, it'll be a lifetime project for him. But that being said, it does say something about our relationship that is more than just about tariffs or auto parts. The amount of issues that we have, issues between both countries on the management of water.
I think the biggest problem for the left in France is going to be the fact that your center, Emmanuel Macron's party, will create a coalition with Marine Le Pen's party before they create a coalition with the left. So that's why all I'm saying is, for the left to win, it has to win huge. Like, it has to win supermajority. Win the majority of seats. I hope you guys go for it and do it, you know? I think it's possible.
Water between both our countries is absolutely vital to the economic interest of both countries. And whether it's the environment, whether it's national defense, whether it's critical minerals, our relationship is much more than just about the tariff story. And that's why Canadians are so disappointed and frankly reacting with some emotion to the president's statements about 51st state. When he says that, Sarah, it's as though he's telling us in Canada, you don't exist, you don't count, and we're going to take you over. So
the Lolo, like, Germany is facing the same times as 1930s Germany as well. So I feel like Europe is on a trajectory to truly become like a fascist continent. By the way, we called Europe the West Asian Peninsula here. There is 2 votes, one for the president and one few months later for the National Assembly. When Mélenchon win the presidential, he will have to win the majority in the National Assembly to do real changes. But just being president is already a huge dodge of far-right Marine Le Pen party. Oh, that's awesome. I really hope that you guys, who are obviously like very vocal and amplifying all of the good stuff, all of the leftist sort of politics, can move some of those centrists, some of those liberals who are, especially the white liberals in the middle, over to the left. That's going to be the challenge, I think, in the French elections, is moving those white liberals to the left. It's the same challenge that America has had for so long. It's the same challenge as any democracy has had for so long, is to move the white centrists, because the white centrists will often move to the right more easily than they will to the left.
Put yourself in our shoes. I mean, the reaction is emotional. At the end of the day, though, what is in both our interests is that we sit down and that we work out an economic relationship that has in the past been to the great, great benefit of both our countries. And that's where Canadians want to end up.
Jean Charest, we are out of time, but I noticed you're in Louisville.
If in a situation like this, Black Lemmy, the real left people don't vote, they're not real left. Fuck the libs. We aim to win the abstentionist, make people who do not vote for decades, because all parties are the same, to go out and vote for Mélenchon. Yeah, that's incredible if you can do that as well. I just feel like if you as a leftist are seeing the rise of the Nazis, and you can see that there is a chance for a candidate who's proven themselves to not be a lib or a far right person to win, like France has with Mélenchon, and you don't vote, then I don't even think you're a leftist.
Kentucky, that has a huge economic juggernaut that goes to Canada, which is bourbon, and Canadians have demanded that those things be taken off the shelves and aren't buying. So right there shows you where some pain can be meted out to those in the United States. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning. Joining me now is David Eby. He is the Premier of British Columbia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You have said that the U.S. deal that was offered Canada revealed the true nature of what the White House really wants from Canada. What do you think President Trump really wants to do to Canada?
Well, I mean, you just have to listen to the words the president says. He would like Canada to become the 51st state. You know, we are proud and we're happy about our relationship with Americans. We like our American partners and friends. But there is a line. We are a separate country. We have our own vision for the country and for where we'd like to go, and we will never be the 51st state. The idea that the president could impose on Canada obligations about who we trade with and who we can't trade with, and then simultaneously hit us with massive tariffs and give us poor access to the American market, it makes no sense. And unless you understand that he's interested in turning Canada the 51st state, and we're not.
Do you truly think that's what his intention is? Or do you think, as they have put it, it's to you know, sort of make things more even, to help the United States even out the trade with Canada?
Well, I mean, the idea of evenness is a bit of an absurd one. I mean, we sell a lot of energy to the United States. So if you like affordable energy in the U.S., and it's questionable about whether the president likes affordable energy, given his various policies, but we do sell a lot, and that causes a trade imbalance between Canada and the U.S. But in every other product except for energy, we're in a trade deficit with the U.S. And what it actually means for Americans is a new 50% tax if you're building a new home on plywood, if you're replacing your floor on veneers, if you're getting married on cut flowers, if you're going out fishing on fishing poles. It is a bizarre policy for Americans. It's going to hurt them. And unfortunately, Canada has to hit back. You know, as much as we have friends and family in the U.S., and frankly, I feel sorry for Americans right now that they have.
Oh, shiny.
Has to hit back. You know, as much as we have friends and family in the U.S., and frankly, I feel sorry for Americans.
Oh, he said the thing. He said sorry. Sorry. This is how Canadians say sorry.
Frankly, I feel sorry for Americans.
They say sorry and aboot.
Right now, that they have a president that is so disinterested in their cost of living concerns and is making them a global pariah. But we have to hit back, and I think it's unfortunate because we've been friends for so many years. This
there you go,
relationship can be destroyed very quickly and efficiently, and the president is working on that.
Wow. Well, the U.S. Trade Representative, I wanted to let you hear what he said. He just told CNBC this morning this about the tariffs.
I think the market knows that at the end of the day, this is 5% of imports from Canada. It's
Take care, Black Lemmy.
Of our, overall.
We'll see you soon. Take care. Take care. It was good to have you here. Thank you so much for the raid. Bon nuit. Bon nuit. And Paul Marie. Good night in Te Reo Maori. Paul Marie. Kakite, friend.
Consumption in this economy, so there's no possible way it can really affect U.S. well-being, right?
So Greer says there is no possible way the tariffs can affect the U.S. well-being. Is that how you see it?
Who's Maddie? No, Maori. Maori is a language. It's from Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's the indigenous people of New Zealand.
Well, Canada is the #1 export destination. We're the #1 customer for dozens of U.S. states. We're #2 for the rest. And this is a negotiation with Canada that is just preceding negotiations with Mexico. And frankly, I think other countries are watching Canada's response. I hope, we'll be following along. At some point, the rest of the world will say enough. In terms of hitting your #1 customer with a 50% tariff and expecting that we wouldn't do the same, is bizarre. So we will, the Prime Minister has been very clear, tariff American company goods coming into Canada, and we will ensure that Canadians buy from other places in response to this. I just want to give you one, we're a major lumber exporter here in British Columbia.
Yes.
Our tariff level on some wood products to the United States is 85%. That's worse access than Russia and Europe. I mean, I try to make sense of this policy in terms of our relationship with the United States and Canadians, and there's just no sense to it unless you understand the president has a larger ambition.
Oh dear. Oh dear. We don't all say our boot and A, but most of you do, right? Bloodhound. It's not all of you. It's most of you. A boot and A and sorry. What other quirks do Canadians have? What other quirks do Canadians have? Please. Pea suit? Yes! Woo! This is like this is like French on French violence. I love it. Apparently I say bag and bagel weird. Do you know about the Newfoundlanders noisy? No, I don't. Having left Canada almost 20 years, I sure hear it a lot more. Also, Canadians think they're so much better educated than their neighbors. We're not. Also, the politeness is a mask for malice. Newfoundlanders are the best. Oh, we've got to watch a video about Newfoundland. Hold on. Newfoundlanders. Accent thick. There we go.
Well, see, there's a good reason for that now, because if we look out this way, we see we're bankered in with fog, so we got about a half a mile of visibility. So beyond that, I'd say we're only about 3,000 miles away from Ireland, and that would be why we sound.
Oh, it's Irish accent. It's like a weird Irish accent.
My grandfather comes from the county of Mayo. He settled here in 1842 from the county of Mayo in Ireland.
Come again?
Jim Murphy.
Can you remember him?
No, never saw him. My father died, he was 72. He died in 1942.
Is this English?
There's really an Irish part of Newfoundland, isn't
Well, there was 4 of us. There was 2 brothers besides myself and my stepbrother. The Monday morning, my father would give you the work to do for the day, right from Monday till Saturday. You mightn't like to do it, but you were going doing it. And if you hadn't have done when you were eating your supper.
Okay, based on what you've just said there, Shiny, I may be Canada-phobic. I have no fucking clue what this guy is saying. Oh my gosh. What is this bloke saying?
The accent is the most mental thing about the whole situation, like, really.
What I says to people, like, because even the boys, they said, like this is what Newfoundland sounds like, but it's not at all.
Yeah.
So when you leave St. John's about a half hour down, you're running the Babels and Whitlas Bay, that's what I call the start of it. People argue it's further up in the city, but it's not. They're all townies, they're not.
Townies.
Yeah, they're not part of it. But once you get to the Babels and Whitlas Bay, you're on to the Irish Loop, and that'll go all day.
It's like Irish people just became lazier at pronouncing words. Like lazier, even lazier at pronouncing words. Like they're just saying shit.
Down around the Avalon Peninsula, right down to the southeasternmost tip of Newfoundland, and right back up around. And from what I could tell, because I never ever delved into it a whole lot, you got a lot of people coming over in the 1700s to settle out.
That's right, yeah.
And it stayed. The accent stayed around. Now, it's not so strong in Whitlas Bay where I'm from. It was when I grew up, and you get me.
Right.
But if you go another half hour south down to Calvert, and especially talking to the old hands, it's me times, maybe not times 10, but it's more.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get over to like Cape St. Mary's and go around.
The accent.
Honestly, like, I feel so bad because, it's
All right, I want you to share some favorite Newfoundland slang terms and expressions for us. And then I want, because I've been to Newfoundland, I love it. I've been to Labrador as well.
Yeah.
Very different.
Very different place, yeah.
But give me a slang term, because I was watching the show today, and there's this moment where you start talking to Russell Crowe in the parking lot, where it suddenly turns into two Noofs talking.
Right.
And it was like, where are the subtitles? Where are the subtitles? So give me some.
Okay, well, I'll start easy. Yeah. The simplest one, my personal favorite is, people seem to have a lot of difficulty with it, is what are you at?
What are you at?
So what are you at?
Meaning what I mean?
No, this is a good one. What do you think it means?
What are you at? What are you getting at?
George?
Yes?
What are you at?
I'm at home.
How are you? How are you? Is he saying about? Is he saying how are you?
Where am I? Is that what it is?
Okay. The correct response would be simple. It's no matter what you're doing, you say this is it.
This is it.
What? Excuse me?
Is that like, how are you, fine?
No, yeah, sort of. But it's a little, and if you add the nod, right? What are you at? It's a common phrase. I don't care what anyone says. I use it all the time. I use it every day. Alan Doyle wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
It means, what are you doing?
Okay.
It's simple. What are you at? What are you at?
Yeah.
What are you at right now?
This is it.
This is it.
All right. What are you
And
at?
if you were building a house, you also might respond, nothing. And you could be squaring a house, man, working your guts out. But that's what you're doing. That's not what you're doing.
All right, so what are you at? This is it.
Yeah, that's one. Number two.
It's not just slang. It's also like, is he just making sounds, or is it like words? Like, what is this? Is he in pain?
Which is, I think, a famous one, right?
Yeah.
This is a famous one. I'm ashamed to even bring it up, but, stay where you're at.
Yeah. Stay where you're at. That's famous?
Stay where you're at till it comes where you're to.
Okay. Really? That's crazy talk right there. Guys, okay, stay where you're at till I...
Just stay where you're at till it comes where you're to.
On my way?
No, stay where you're at till it comes where you're to.
No, I understand. Stay where... What does that mean?
That means stay where you're at.
Yes.
Till I comes where you're at.
Meaning I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll
stay
be there.
there till I get over to where you're to.
You mean it...
What's wrong with you, George?
But do you mean physically, or do you mean intellectually? I'm on your same page? What do you mean?
I don't know what's wrong with you, man. Yeah, stay where you're standing till I comes over to where you're standing.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. I want to go there. This is a gibberish. I love it. What's next?
This is my favorite one, hands down, because it doesn't make any sense in any way, but it makes so much sense to all of us. Okay. What's after happening now?
What's after happening?
What's happening after this?
Now, using my small, big city brain, I think
What are we doing
means,
next?
What are we doing next?
Right? You're small, big city brain. You're an intelligent guy. It probably makes a lot of sense. But what's after happening now means what just happened.
What's after happening?
What just happened, and then you add the now for this time.
Okay.
What just happened this time? So if I walked into the room and you and the audience were in a big scuff, and you offended them with your,
Happens every day.
Yeah, yeah. And I would come in and I'd be like, boys, what's after happening now? Everything was going so well. Your monologue was so great. They were all laughing, and now you got them all upset.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there we are.
What? They would during like in Salem, they would burn people at the stake for this sort of stuff.
Just read it, actually, as I was leaving my house this morning.
What do you think of that news?
I really like Target, so I'm kind of going to be sad that they're going to be closing. Yeah.
What I meant, Candace, is that it's like witchcraft. Are they saying spells at me? Am I going to walk out with like an injury or something? Are they casting a fucking spell? This sounds like Harry Potter.
I found it very nice in there. It wasn't as not crowded, but they always had stuff on the shelves, so I'm kind of sad that they're closing.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't realize that happened. I'm going to be disappointed very disappointed. Did you come here often? Yeah, come here at least twice a week. Yeah, I really love the store. I just couldn't wait from when they got here, and then, oh my goodness. Oh well. What can we say?
It's not too long ago that they opened here. You know what I mean? You know, I suppose business is business. I suppose, you know, like everything else, right? But I don't know why they're closing, because I mean.
No, people do say it. My brother and sister say it. They didn't pick it up here though. My brother started saying it after he moved to Ontario. My sister started saying it after she moved to Quebec. It's a real thing. I don't encounter it a lot. I thought it was fake for a while until my brother said it one time, and I was like,
Don't ever say that.
Canadians do not say oot and a boot.
Yeah.
It's more back in the throat, oat.
A bout is more like a boat, not a boot you put on your foot.
That's how we say it. So let's hear everybody. It's a boot.
Boat for.
They said a boot. What? They said we don't say a boot, and then they said a boot.
Said a boot.
That does not feel good on the ears. Don't ever.
Hold on.
Canadians don't say oot and a boot, and they also don't say out and about. What they really say is something closer to out and about. Out and about. And there's a rule for where this sound appears, because in other words that are spelled very similarly, Canadians sound just like Americans. For example, in the words round, sound, now, cow, it sounds the exact same. However, if this ow sound comes before a voiceless consonant, then that's where you get this reduced o. For example, about, mouth, couch, south. Also, this phenomenon has a name. It's called Canadian raising, which is this phenomenon where we raise the tongue on certain vowels. It's interesting because Canadians have an accent that sounds mostly American with just a little sprinkle of Irish and Scottish English in there. A lot of Scottish and Irish influences have actually disappeared in the accents of lots of young Canadians, but this is a
Irish people, how do you think the Irish accent got to Canada? I hear a lot of Irish people going, oh, we didn't colonize anything. How did it get there? How did the Irish and Scottish accent get there? How?
Fuck Canada!
Hey, fuck you, buddy!
Terrence and Philip will not be released. They are going to be put on trial for corrupting America's youth. We don't know what all the fuss is about.
The fuss is about taking our citizens. It's about not censoring our art. It's about... What's so goddamn funny?
Nothing. Could you tell us again what your argument is all about?
This is not about diplomacy. This is about dignity. This is about respect. This is about realizing that humor is... You guys are dicks. Release Terrence and Philip, or we'll give you something to cry about.
Famine for my family. So let me get this straight. So there was famine in Ireland, and you left Ireland and settled, right? You settled. Irish people settled in Canada. I understand that there was a horrific famine.
And in fact, our alphabet and yours are fairly similar. So why don't we begin singing it together? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, B, Q, R, S, T, U, friend, W, X, and these are Canadian ABCs. Susie likes hairy balls. What do you think of these? All right, now everyone.
I'm so sorry about playing that. Oh my gosh, it's bringing back memories.
So by far, the most commonly received comments I get on my videos fall into one of three categories. Something about my hair, something about my mustache, or something about the way I say this word. I say about, most North Americans say about. To figure out why, let's take a fascinating look at the world of Canadian accents. The way I talk is a particularly strong example of what people who study this sort of thing call the Canadian raising phenomenon. This refers to the weird way many Canadians pronounce the ow sound in words like house and down and around and south. Ugh, it even sounds annoying to me. The idea is that Canadians have a tendency to raise their tongues in their mouths when they make ow sounds, as I just did right then when I said mouth, instead of mouth, which is when you keep your tongue down lower in your mouth. Mouth, 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 mouth. Not all Canadians speak with Canadian raising, and certainly most don't do it as much as I do, but it is a pretty common phenomenon, as you can see in this montage of clips of random Canadians talking I've assembled.
Are all very unhappy about this. I am...
Oh, she dropped in a boot!
Absolutely unhappy about it as well.
Oh, 2 boots!
Stupid, don't worry about it, because here's what's going to happen. We're going to get drunk and eat chicken fingers. Me, you, and the old man is going to be here in about 20 minutes.
A matter of...
Okay, those are boots. Okay, they are not abouts. They're a boots. Please stop with this. We don't say a boot. You say a boot.
planning, and of course being a mom is all about routine.
Well, think about it. 10 years ago, the price of gold was maybe $300 an ounce.
Oh. So you see some Canadians say it about, some Canadians say it more like a boat, some people say it somewhere in the middle of those two, and of course lots just say it the normal way, about. But what's weird is that I feel a lot of Canadians are very inconsistent about this. I get a lot of teasing from my fellow Canadians because I say about instead of about, but I notice a lot of people say route instead of route, and no one seems to care. I blame South Park, which made the whole about thing this big funny joke.
The fuss is about taking our citizens. It's about not censoring our art. It's about what's so goddamn funny?
And made life tough for Canadians like me, who now seem very obnoxiously stereotypical. There's more to Canadian accents than just the pronunciation of one word, however. Like any country, Canadian accents vary a great deal depending on class and region. Most Canadians are probably pretty familiar with this sort of stereotypical lower class Canadian accent, which is kind of this sort of twangy, you know, right? There's this Canadian comedy rap group called B and Steve, and they make YouTube videos where they sing with this kind of accent, and it's pretty funny, as you can see here.
Before we learn to walk, we can cross-check properly. Just rockin' plaid jackets. Chainsaws, we operate them right. Fucking A-right we do, bud. We cut our weight in firewood.
This is, of course, the same accent that was famously mocked in those Great White North segments of SCTV back in the day.
Oh, so that's our topic for today, the Great White North. So, good day.
What an education, eh?
Now, the most famous regional accent of Canada is the accent of people who live in the far eastern Atlantic provinces of Canada, particularly Newfoundland. This region of Canada was originally settled by a lot of Gaelic-speaking people from Scotland and Ireland, and to this day, their accent still has a sort of Irish twinge to it, as we can see in this montage of Newfoundland people talking.
That stay is solid, and he's able to incrementally increase. I mean, you could end up with a minority Harper government. You know, that would be the worst possible thing.
If you're looking at crew changes, they depend on moving a crew out of here. Some of those people are 3 and 4 days late.
When I arrived at the airport, there was approximately 3 RCMP cars here. And what they were doing here, I had no...
Yeah, so I think what's happened here is that Irish and Scottish people were kind of influenced by the United States, the United States accent, but didn't fully get it. It's like... It's more modern than the United States of America. It feels like this accent just came up, and then it's kind of like a mix of like Irish, like they said, Irish, Scottish, and American accents. Toronto slang is its own thing. What?
No idea, but I knew there had to be something up. They weren't out here picking up fares.
If you've seen the movie A Series of Unfortunate Events, you may recognize this as also being the accent that noted Canadian actor Jim Carrey used when he was playing the sea captain guy.
Oh, that there was all my fault. Hey, well, can't tell you how sorry I is for running into your sister there like that.
Newfoundland people also have a habit of using a lot of weird Newfoundland slang, which when coupled with their accent can make them really hard to understand, as satirized in this Nissan commercial.
They say an extra Bonavista. Vista. Take again or that Penrith, buddy. If that don't put a gust in your spinnaker, I don't know what would. And look at the wheels on her. Got enough alloy in there to fill a bucket.
Now, a lot of French Canadians...
Great. That was so good. Wait. Oh my gosh.
This Nissan commercial.
They say an extra Bonavista. Vista. Take again or that Penrith, buddy. If that don't put a gust in your spinnaker, I don't know what would. And look at the wheels on her. Got enough alloy in there to fill a bucket.
Now, a lot of French Canadians...
You're gonna put enough alloy in there to fill a bucket. Gonna put enough alloy in there to fill a bucket.
What? And look at the wheels on her. Got enough alloy in there to fill a bucket.
Now, a lot of French Canadians speak English as their second language, so they obviously.
It's not fully Irish though. It's like they got lazy and just stopped saying real words. You know, Irish. I can understand Irish. This is just like they were just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let Jesus take the wheel, kind of thing.
They say an extra Bonavista. Pick again or that pen, buddy. That don't put a gust in your spinning rod, I don't know what would. And look at the wheels on her. Got enough alloy in there to fill a bucket.
Now, a lot of French Canadians speak English as their second language, so they obviously have a French accent, but the sort of French accent they have is quite different than the sort of accent French people from France have. In France, people with strong French accents tend to substitute T sounds for Z sounds, so words like this and that and those become zis and zat and zos. In Canada, where French is spoken in a sort of more nasally way, French accents tend to use harder D sounds, so dis and dat and those. See if you can notice the difference.
This description might seem unfair for the previous generation, but keep in mind that I am not really criticizing the people.
We want four things in the throne speech. We want to clarify this issue about Afghanistan. It's so important. It's very important for us. The other one is we have a bill.
Of course, in this era of television and the internet, more and more North Americans are starting to lose their regional or class-based accents altogether. Researchers now often speak of standard American English or the general American accent.
This is really informative, honestly. Like, this is great.
Which is this sort of bland, plain accent you tend to hear from newscasters and actors and anybody else who doesn't want to seem exotic or interesting. As more and more young people are taught to believe that accents are something embarrassing or hickish, you're starting to see entire generations speak exactly the same way. Entire countries, too. Check out this montage of young Canadians and Americans and see if you can tell who comes from which country.
If you really want to get in a company that requires more experience, you have a one-up on everyone else that's applying.
With what they give us in my program in particular, like we don't get any seminars or anything like that. It's all lab and lecture.
And I just try to be as versatile as possible. Whatever the team needs, I try to do it. So if they need me at the 5, I'd like to be in the 5.
I'm in kinesiology, and a lot of kin is mostly memorization, which is what I'm used to, which is what I'm good at.
It was a trick. They're all Canadians. Hard to tell, though. Eh?
So there we are.
Okay. That was a learning experience, everybody. I'm gonna go pick up my son. Who can we raid, folks? Who can we raid? Can we raid somebody, please? Thank you so much. I'll be back a little bit later. And I have a topic that I want to talk about this evening, so I will see you guys then. Kakite, everybody. Yeah, that was fun.
I want to be a good boy.
That was a lot of fun. It was definitely a nice sort of like change from. It was a nice change. Nice change of speed. Thank you so much. Kakite, everybody. Take care, Candace. Take care, everybody. It was great to see all of you. Hey, who can we raid? Hold up. We gotta raid somebody. We can't just go. Oh, is it? Shanna Cracky Pants? Oh, nice. Kepi Corm? Yes, let's do it. Hey, have we raided Shanna before? I think we have, right? I'm sure we have. Oh, this is awesome. Love it. Hey, thank you so much, everybody. Kakite, and much love. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Thank you. And to all the French folks, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much for the raid. That was so cool to have that conversation.
Thank you, friends.
You keep reminding me, Shiny. Love to all of you. Mwah! Mwah! Thank you. Take care, and I will catch you soon. Kakite. Free Palestine. Here we go, Raiders. In 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the raid, everybody. Say hi to Shanna for me. See you soon. Take care, folks. Kakite.